Alrighty then, hello everyone, my name is Caden, and welcome back to more Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. Last time, we completed episode 3, which was, we figured out the murder was technically friggin' Von Sanctus, but we couldn't properly acquit him, or indict him during the trial, although in the eye of public opinion, he is guilty, so we still kind of won. Even if we couldn't put him in a jail cell. Well, let's move on. Episode 4. In the kingdom of Wyverngard, there was a gulf between what was lawful and what was just. Here, ideals were just fairy tales. They were pleasant to think about, but they distracted from how the world really was. You're naive, but I've been starting to think that if everyone else was like you, the world wouldn't be the way it was. But the world was the way it was. Not even you, with all your special divine powers, could change that. I can't believe Cuthbert used the Eye of Horse on a client. He's becoming more and more reckless, and I think McCoy is just making him worse. I wonder what he was like with his real mother. He's definitely nothing like Ryan was. Adopting him was a mistake. Oh, Beatrice. Is something wrong, Time? Wait, Beatrice, hang on! It just now occurs to me, that name's familiar. Wait a minute. What? Wait! Okay, I'm gonna tell you what I was thinking first, and then I'm gonna tell you what caught me off guard. First off, the way that everything was lined up, I'm wondering, I thought we were going to be, are we going to be playing as Tymora? So I looked in the evidence thing to check, oh, maybe if we're playing as Tymora, in the past, that, I don't know, friggin' Trials and Tribulations, Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations, Case 3, I think it was. Or Case 4, I'm not sure, I can't remember. But point is, past case. I was wondering, if it's that, then maybe it would say in the evidence section, oh, hey, Cuthbert, it would not show Cuthbert because we're technically in the past. And then I look at freaking Celeste McCoy's thing and it says, my personal bodyguard and closest confidant. She's cheerful and sweet, crossed out, and beautiful. That just caught me very off guard. Is something wrong, Tymora? No, it's nothing. Well, the trial's about to begin, and all of our futures are at stake. Of course, miss. Actually, what do you go by now? I prefer just Beatrice, but they'll be using my legal name anyway. Beatrice. Beatrice muttered some kind of mantra before clapping her hands together. She's been doing that a lot since we met. Well, I guess she's been doing that a lot since we met. It must have been some kind of meditative ritual for her. You! I hate you! You scare me! I couldn't help but side-eye Eris. I was a little annoyed with how careless she was being. Is something wrong, Tymora? I'd just like to know what you think you're doing here. My father sent me to come be Beatrice to the courthouse. It's a new environment for her. We do need to keep her condition in mind, after all. I wasn't so convinced. Her father had a lot more sense than that. Not to mention that Eris always liked stirring up trouble. She took a lot of pleasure in complicating my jobs. It was apparently her favorite pastime. And the boss, doting father that he was, just let her do as she pleased. I hope you understand how much you're risking by being seen with me. You're already pushing it when you approached us at the academy. Don't you think you're worrying too much? You've been preparing for this, haven't you? Just keep your head low and make sure no one connects you to your father. You know how important this trial is. Why? But knowing my true identity caused friction with your son? He's not my... speak of the devil. I spotted Cuthbert and McCoy walking to the courtroom with the other members of the gallery. I guess after our little argument, he wanted to see how this trial would turn out. McCoy spotted me and gave me a friendly smile, yet uncomfortable smile. Cuthbert froze for a moment before looking away and walking silently into the courtroom. Parental troubles? We had a disagreement earlier. It's nothing to worry about. If you say so. I was wary about what he saw in Beatrice's mind. He'd always been a good kid, but he was also really stubborn. It clouded his judgment sometimes. He hadn't been practicing law for very long. It didn't help that his string of victories was getting to his head. But I was sure that once he'd seen enough of what the courts were really like, he'd understand why I needed to do this. The trial's about to begin. Do you really have the time to be making small talk here? Oh, hey! Prosecutor Seelin approached the three of us, tailed by a familiar face.
Hey! Hey, Wallace!
Wallace Nightgrave. He's accompanying me as my aide for this case.
Yo! Yo, aide?
So can I assume you'll be prosecuted?
Yo, friggin' the Wallace assist? Heck yeah. So even the prosecutor gets her own ally.
Of course. I'll never pass up the opportunity to face the infamous Ruby Timor. Are we gonna be playing this case as Ruby?
That's really cool if so. I always thought, like, again, like I was saying before, it reminds me of how, if we're playing this as Ruby, it reminds me how, going, again, Ace Attorney series, thinking to, there are two cases that come off the top of my head. There's the case in, like I've said before, Trials and Tribulations. I think it was the third or fourth case. I can't remember exactly which one, but it was the one where you play as Faye. Before, like, and you're facing against, like, a much younger Edgeworth. And you're defending that one, prisoner, or whatever. And then, the other scenario, the other, the other case that it reminds me of is from the Edgeworth games. I think specifically it was 2. Yeah. It was the one with the candy makers. Yeah. It's one with the candy makers, and you play, and there's a section where you get to play as Edgeworth's dad for a bit. So it'd be cool if we're playing as Ruby for this one for a little bit. Sure, it's not in the past, but playing as an older, like, as like the older mentor for a bit is always fun.
Of course, I would never pass up the opportunity to face the infamous Ruby Timora. Really? If I remember correctly, you haven't even beaten Tyrion once so far.
Damn.
Oh, it seemed that struck a nerve. I might be able to use that later.
Miss Stillman, don't strain yourself.
What's I look for, Beatrice? You don't seem surprised to see me here. Considering the circumstances, I thought you might recuse yourself. I'm more than capable of remaining objective, especially for a case of this much importance.
We don't know what's going on at all right now. We have heard the name Beatrice before. I believe we heard it during Wallace's case, actually. Yeah, because we kept hearing that name occasionally throughout when, just talking to other people. They kept mentioning a Beatrice.
Well, I hope your mind is as strong as you think it is.
The blue hair does kind of make me think of House, what's the big, is it Frege? I think it's Frege is what I'm thinking of. House Frege.
Miss Steelwind! Nightgrave looked unusually reprimanding and concerned for her. He was really averse to confrontation, wasn't he? Oh, I love a good reunion. The deck was already stacked in our favor. I just need to follow through and get this over and done with. After that, we finally have everything we need to topple the 4 pillars.
This is weird.
I'm still here. Court is now in session for the trial of Beatrice Frege.
I was right. I knew it. I knew the blue hair looked like the Fregas. Beatrice Frege.
Miss Steelwyn, is the prosecution ready?
Oh, the prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is also ready, Your Honor.
This is the first time we're actually seeing Ruby on this. This is cool. Oh. Man, this game's been doing, like, the whole, like, Ace Attorney, like, style really well, I gotta say. I've been loving this game. I know I've been taking a lot of pauses right now, but this game has been so much fun. I love this game. I don't know how this game's gonna end, but I really hope it ends in a way that allows for sequels, because I would love for this team, for the team that made this game, to be able to make, like, more, because this has been awesome. I've loved this. Yes. And the world needs more games like the Ace Attorney series. I would love more games like the Ace Attorney series. They're just so fun. And
the defense is also ready, Your Honor. She definitely looks less self-assured than usual. Her history with Beatrice might be throwing her off. Yeah, now oh! I'm trying to remember the details.
It's harder for me to remember smaller details. But yeah, Beatrice was mentioned in a combination with Arya. I think it was something along the lines of, what was it called? Shoot. It's on the tip of my tongue. He was mentioned alongside, President. It's on the tip of my tongue. Student Council President. That's it. That's the word. For some reason, I could not for the life of me remember what I was trying to say. But yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Oh.
Very well, let's begin the proceedings. Prosecutor Steelman, could you please list the charges?
Your Honor, the defendant is charged with first-degree murder and grand theft.
Okay.
As many of you know, Beatrice Frege is the formerly missing daughter of the now-late William Frege.
Wait!
And the victim of the murder is William Frege himself.
Wait! You mean like the big guy?
Yes, I'm well aware of that. The people of Ivengard will certainly mourn the loss of House Frege's head.
Damn! The House of Frege is lost its main guy. We saw him briefly at the end of, We're talking about the guy that we saw briefly at the end of, both episodes 1 and 3, right? The blue hair, like stocky... Is stocky the word you would use for him? But he's got, like, a big build. Like, broad shoulders or whatever. Friggin' looks like a wall. I don't know. I feel like I'm now just being mean. I don't know how to describe people. I'm bad at this. Point is he was the guy that also kept reprimanding Von Sanctus for a lot of things. So he's dead, and the suspect is his daughter. Huh.
Please, the only people who mourned him were the banking house's shareholders.
On that matter, did you also say that the defendant is accused of grand theft?
Yes, Your Honor. The crimes took place during the Lord's Ball, an event that was hosted in Frege Manor yesterday evening. The Heraldson Hall of History was hosting an exhibit within the manor. They were showcasing several magical artifacts donated to the Wyverngard Historical Society. One of these items was a Sword of Spell Eating, a magical artifact that allows its wielder to nullify magical effects.
The Sword of Spell Eating. The Sword of Spell Eating is an ancient artifact. When wielded by a creature, that creature and anything connected to them, physically or magically, are immune to all harmful magical effects. Legends say that it was forged through a blood contract between a mage and a demon. Okay, so we have something that nullifies magic. Got it.
The prosecution believes that the defendant stole this item to break into the victim's study, which was secured with a magical lock. After breaking into the study, she attacked the victim and slashed his throat open using a letter opener. He died of blood loss shortly after.
Died at 3:12 a.m. Cause of death was blood loss after his throat was slashed open. Both carotid arteries were severed, meaning that death must have followed mere seconds after the wound was inflicted. Body shows several scratch marks on the face and back. Traces of illusion magic were also found in the body. So illusion magic, got it. That fit. I saw the little blurb at the bottom whenever Beatrice was talking, said that she was a illusion magic user. What I am curious about is the several scratch marks. Actually, already, this autopsy report kind of contradicts itself, or it creates an interesting oddity. Let's put it that way. It creates an interesting oddity. So, it says that that because both carotid arteries were severed, he had to have died mere seconds after the wound was inflicted. But there are also scratch marks on the face and back. Why? That seems weird to me. Why would there be scratch marks on a body that's, you know, like, if they died, like, mere moments after being cut, why would they have scratch marks? Now, there could be in a struggle, that's true. But again, I don't know much about the case right now, but I'm just curious about why are there scratch marks? And on the face and back, that's also odd. One or the other, sure, that'd be fine, but both the face and the back, what kind of situation would allow for scratch marks to appear on both the front of a person and their back? That's weird.
I see. Does the prosecution have a motive?
William Frege and his daughter were not close. Saying they had a strained relationship would be an understatement. In fact, 5 years prior to the murder, Beatrice abandoned and fled her home. She went into hiding and cut contact with all of her friends and family. Her whereabouts were unknown until she contacted her father a week ago.
Objection!
Ooh, new objection.
My client left the Frege household because of her toxic relationship with her father. She wanted to create a life for herself that was free from his influence and abuse. I won't disagree with your claims, but that simply highlights how desperate the defendant must have been. She clearly had fallen on hard times and begrudgingly contacted her father for financial aid. I have no idea why they would schedule this meeting during the yearly Lord's Ball. But nevertheless, several witnesses did see her that night, and these same witnesses saw her storming out of her father's study in anger. Her father must have refused her request for aid, so she decided to murder him to claim his inheritance. It's a good thing we prepared for this.
William Frege's inheritance. Beatrice Frege fled from her family 5 years ago and went into hiding. In retaliation, William Frege told Miriam Frege that he would remove Beatrice from his will. As a result, she wouldn't receive any inheritance after his death. As per your agreement, this testimony will be confirmed by Miriam Frege in court. Okay.
What you're saying is all conjecture, Steelwind. You don't have any evidence to confirm why my client contacted her late father. Yes, I'm well aware the defendant has refused to tell us what they discussed. And be honest, Steelwind, do you seriously think that my client committed these crimes in spite of her condition?
Condition? What do you mean by that, Miss Timora?
Yeah, I'm curious. What do you mean?
Why don't you tell him, Steelwind? Tell the court about my client's disability. Your Honor, Beatrice Frege is legally disabled. However, legally disabled? That's a convenient way of putting it, Steelwind. My client is completely blind.
Oh, what?
Completely blind? Is it true?
We have several medical documents and testimony from several, Cherugians attesting to that fact. My client is unable to see anything.
Beatrice is blind. Beatrice Frege is completely blind. She is unable to see anything through her eyes. This has been verified through several medical reports and qualified Cherugians.
What is the meaning of this, Miss Steelwind? Do you expect me to believe that a blind woman performed any of the acts you're accusing her of?
I'm glad you also see how ridiculous these claims are, Your Honor.
If the court would just let me elaborate.
Your Honor, the prosecution's first charge is grand theft. My client would have needed to break into a display case that was magically secured. Performing such an act would be a difficult task for anyone, much less my client. And the second charge is first-degree murder. My client would have needed to use a sword of spell eating on the lock leading to the victim's study. Then, she would have needed to grab a letter opener, overpower the victim, and deliver a precise and fatal blow to the victim's neck. Does any of that sound like a reasonable theory, Your Honor?
I'm compelled to agree with you, Miss Timora. It all sounds quite ludicrous, to be perfectly honest.
This is just awful. Steelwinds have always been at odds with the Fregas. They're just taking advantage of the Duke's death.
Objection! Enough. Your Honor, the court has not seen the evidence that supports this case. Nor have you listened to the Inquisition's testimony regarding their investigation. Until you have done so, you are in no position to pass judgment.
Very well, Miss Steelwind.
I guess the little lady had some claws after all. But it didn't matter. Their case against Beatrice was questionable at best. Frankly, it was surprising that Steelwind even went through with this. It was only a matter of time before the judge saw things my way.
To begin, the prosecution would like to call Commander Orm White to the stand.
Oh boy. Why is it always me? And great, it's with the person I hate.
Commander White, please testify to the court about the Inquisition's findings.
Right. Here we go. We didn't want to cause a panic after the sword was stolen, so we activated the manor silence security system. They put an anti-magic field over the entire manor. We did a search of the house, and we found the stolen sword in the defendant's bedroom. It didn't look like she was going to run, and Crown Prince Aster told us to stand down, so we just kept a close eye on her. William Frege was in a bad mood that night. He already locked himself inside his study. An hour later, we entered the study and found him lying dead in a pool of his own blood. The log was still engaged, and no one teleported in. The bird must have temporarily disabled the lock using the sword of spell eating. We have testimonies that say the defendant was seriously in debt. I guess she murdered the victim to get part of his inheritance.
Their case against Beatrice was just as I predicted. I already had a countermeasure to disprove the existence of any motive. All I had to do was present that to the court.
Well, I already see what it wants me to do, but I'm gonna press everything anyways, because that's the attorney way. I am going to save the game, though. We didn't want to cause a panic after the sword was stolen, so we activated the mayor's silent security system. It put an anti-magic field over the entire manor.
Wait, doesn't the sword make the wielder immune to magical effects? An anti-magic field would have only disempowered everyone except the thief.
Oh yeah, we didn't know what the sword could do until after the investigation. Up until then, we thought it was just a dusty old artifact.
That seems pretty negligent. Are you sure you're qualified for your position, Orem?
I'm going to kill you.
The situation was unprecedented for everyone involved. One could hardly expect an ancient artifact to have magical capabilities. Anyways, what did you do after the theft, Commander?
We did a search of the house, and we found the stolen sword in the defendant's bedroom.
That seems like a strange conclusion to jump to. My client hadn't set foot in the friggin' manor for years. After being gone for so long, her bedroom had to have been repurposed for something else.
I'm not sure about the details, but one of the defense sisters refused to let the servants disturb that room. I guess she was hoping that her sister would come back one day.
Thief. Life.
It didn't look like she was going to run, and the Crown Prince asked her to also stand down, so we just kept a close eye on her.
And why would the prince tell you to stand down, Orem?
Well,
Crown Prince Aster knew the defendant well. He's confident that she wasn't going to flee the scene.
Are you sure he just knew her well? If I recall correctly, the prince is still very adamant about her innocence.
The Crown Prince is vouching for the defendant. Is this true, Miss Steelwyn?
It is. However, I believe that the evidence found throughout the investigation proves the contrary.
Are you sure your judgment isn't simply being clouded by your jealousy? Your fiancé was previously engaged to my client, after all.
no! Orm's like, I gotta get out of here. This is about to become a shit show.
You're enjoying this a bit too much.
Yeah, you are, Timora. William Frigga was in a bad mood that night. He already locked himself in his study.
Did anyone see him enter the study?
A few people. One of them was Leif Frigga, the victim's second daughter. She said that he was extremely irritated, so he went into his study for some peace and quiet. Guess this meeting with the defendant put him in a bad mood.
But if the manor was covered in an anti-magic field, how did he lock the door magically?
I'm not sure how, but the locks in the manor aren't affected by anti-magic fields.
How?
Magical locks generate a smaller anti-magic field around themselves. The two fields cancel each other out. It's akin to multiplying two negative numbers together.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a lot about artificery. Is what she's saying true?
Yes, overlapping anti-magic fields are a well-studied phenomenon. It's a frequently used failsafe.
I'll just have to take her word for it.
Okay. But an hour later, we just entered his study and found him lying dead in a pool of his own blood.
Who discovered the body?
The same person who saw him last. His daughter, Leifa Frigga.
I really wish it could have been anyone other than her.
Was anyone else there with Leifa and she happened upon the body?
Yeah, supposedly one of the servants got himself locked in a nearby storage closet. And he heard the violent attack through one of the air vents. When he finally got out, he told Leifa and they went into the study, accompanied by some knights.
The lock was still engaged, and no one teleported in. The perp must have temporarily disabled the lock using something like the Sword of Spell Eating.
The sword is integral to the case against my client, so why is the description of its capabilities so vague?
To be honest, the sword is magical, but it doesn't seem to behave like any spells we know about. And we can't identify its magic like we usually do with most artificery devices. According to Lord Haraldson, its powers are demonic in nature. But if you ask me, that's all a bunch of hooey. Either way, it's obvious that doesn't follow the normal rules of magic.
What?
What is it, Miss Tamoa?
It's nothing. Cuthbert was watching from the gallery, so he must have heard that too. I need to focus on getting my client an acquittal first. I could worry about Cuthbert later.
Either way, we've tested the sword's magic on similar locks. When used correctly, it is capable of disabling the lock on the Duke's study.
We have testimonies that say the defendant was seriously in debt. I guess she murdered the victim to get a part of his inheritance.
You have testimonies. Wouldn't an official record be more valid evidence?
Tamara, you and I both know that your client's creditors are not the type to keep such records.
So you're admitting that you're relying on hearsay?
One could conclude that. But it doesn't matter if we can prove that this debt exists. The Frigga estate is unimaginably vast. Debt or no debt, the amount of wealth would be a tempting boon to any individual.
She had a point. House Frigga owned every banking house in Wyverngard. Few could only dream of having that much wealth and power.
Ooh, excuse me.
The prosecution's case against Beatrice was already really weak. I was surprised she even brought this to trial in the first place. I already had testimony from someone that also directly contradicted the commander's testimony. Once I presented that to the court, the case was as good as mine.
Well, let's just do it then. We have testimonies that say the defendant was seriously in debt. I guess she murdered the victim to get part of his inheritance. That's apparently not going to happen, though. She doesn't have a right to the inheritance.
Your Honor, the prosecution's case against my client is riddled with holes. And the prosecution's proposed motive is the largest among them.
What do you mean, Miss Timora? Of all the elements in the case, the motive is the most believable. Your client would have had much to gain through her father's inheritance.
That may be, but that's assuming my client had anything to inherit at all. What? Your Honor, my client fled from her psychologically abusive father 5 years ago. William Frigga was a petty and vindictive man. Do you honestly think that he'd leave his inheritance to someone who disobeyed him so egregiously? No, he'd do everything in his power to make sure that she didn't see a shred of his wealth.
Yes, we're very well aware of this.
The moment she slammed her cane down, I noticed her wince a little. She was getting more and more heated. I didn't realize her rivalry with Beatrice was that personal.
On the night of the murder, the victim made the decision to disinherit the defendant. However, his murder deprived him of the opportunity to submit his will to his attorney. This only further proves the defendant's motive. She would need to act quickly, lest her father submit the changes to his will.
I'm afraid you're mistaken, Sealwyn. William Frigga didn't inherit my client that night. He disinherited my client 5 years ago when she left. I have witnessed testimony from Miriam Frigga, William's youngest daughter. By her own admission, her father disinherited my client before she fled the household. That's why she left.
What? She never brought that up during questioning.
Why would she release that information to one of her family's enemies? If you don't believe me, why don't we call her to the stand and ask her ourselves?
What have you done, Miss Timora?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, it's clear we won't get anywhere unless we hear from Miriam directly. Bailiff, please escort Miriam Frigga to the stand.
Oh boy. Hi again.
Miriam, is the defense correct?
I have to remember what voice I gave you.
Did your father disinherit Beatrice 5 years ago?
Yes.
And you didn't think it was necessary to share this information with me?
Well, you were never asked.
If I recall correctly, you were also tight-lipped during questioning this morning.
The witness had just lost her father. You can hardly expect her to recall every detail that's relevant to his murder.
Which raises a more concerning question. How did you extract this information?
Who knows? I have always had a way with people.
Miriam, please testify to the court about how you found out about Beatrice's disinheritance.
Yes, of course.
Alright.
After my sister's accident, my father said that she was unfit to inherit our noble house. He declared to our family that he would be removing her from his will. It was 5 years ago, but I remember it well. One day, we all woke up and discovered that Beatrice had fled from our home. She left a note for us, and in it, she renounced her name and denounced my father.
Alright.
And you're sure this all happened 5 years ago?
Yes, even now, I can remember everything clearly.
I see.
Her speech was getting slower. I could have sworn that her words were slurring. Nightgrave seemed extremely concerned for some reason.
And Lifey was there with you at this meeting?
Yes, she was.
However, Lifey couldn't have possibly been there.
She was starting to sway as if she couldn't keep her balance.
Arya?
Was this trial getting to her? Hey, are you okay?
Of course,
Whoa! Hey!
What? What did... My skilled lord, it's a blood! No! Bailiff, find anyone capable of casting healing magic! Escort them to the courtroom immediately! What happened?
After some scrambling, a couple of healers were able to help Nightgrave stabilize the prosecutor. In all the chaos, I caught a glimpse of her. There were deep wounds and lacerations on several parts of her body.
Why?
She must have used some kind of illusion spell to hide them, but the mages dispelled it to identify her wounds. They took Steelman out of the courtroom on a stretcher, but as they were doing that, she grabbed Nightgrave and rasped something into his ear. He looked confused, but he simply nodded and made his way to the witness stand. But not before passing a message on to the bailiff, who seemed equally confused.
Mr. Nyquist, explain yourself. What is going on? Why, when Miss Steele went prosecute, she was so greatly injured.
I'm sorry, but I wasn't actually here as Miss Steelan's aide. I was here as her doctor. Her doctor? So that's why you're here. The truth is that Miss Steele was violently attacked at noon today.
Why?
She was in critical condition, but she insisted on prosecuting the case anyways. She suddenly showed up at my house and asked me to channel my necromancy to keep her wounds closed during the trial.
Scaled Lord, why didn't she just recuse herself?
She must have known. If anyone else tried to prosecute Beatrice, I would have handily won the trial. Nevertheless, she showed up when no one else would, and she did it all despite the risk to her life. It almost made me respect her a little. Anyways, is there any need to prolong this trial, Your Honor?
What?
Even you must acknowledge how weak the case against my client is. In addition to that, Miriam's testimony shows that my client had nothing to gain from her father's death.
Miss Timor, Miss Steelman has been gravely injured, and you're still only concerned about...
The only thing I'm concerned about is seeking justice for my client.
Even so, we cannot move until we find another prosecutor.
And how long do you think that will take, Your Honor? It's been nearly 12 hours since the murder took place. That gives us what, 36 hours? After that, every magical trace of the crime scene will fully disappear. But there might be someone... If Steelman had simply allowed another prosecutor to work this case, we wouldn't be in this situation. She took a risk, and now she has to take responsibility for that. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor?
What's gonna happen?
I wasn't completely proud of winning this way, but I wouldn't let an opportunity like this pass me by. The judge was clearly unhappy with this turn of events, but Steelwing didn't leave him any choice.
It seems that there aren't any prosecutors available to immediately take Miss Steelman's place. We will take a brief recess. After that, I'll deliver my verdict.
Oh! Oh, this is gonna get interesting.
Your Honor, I'm afraid you can't pass a verdict just yet.
Mr. Cuthbert?
Cuthbert? What the hell are you doing?
I don't know. I don't know. Hello, Tanamari. Hey, welcome to the stream. Love this case. It's already off to a fascinating start. Tyrion, I'm with you. I don't know what I'm doing.
What I do know is that there's a massive contradiction in Miriam Frigga's testimony.
Oh, we're gonna be going up against... I assume now we're going back to playing as Tyrion, and we're gonna go against our mentor.
One day earlier. Oh boy, here we go. Oh boy.
Do I have to... Yeah, I do. Play this game, but not since it got the huge update. Actually, that reminds me. That reminds me of something I did hear. So, last stream I did complete the third case. One thing I found odd is there were times where I had to use a guide because I'm stupid. But I noticed that when I was looking at a guide, that there was some sort of strange discrepancy between like the guide and what the game was saying to me. I was so confused by it. I think it's that you said the game got a huge update. I think the third case got changed a lot, is what I'm assuming happened. Because the guide that I had to use at certain points did not at all match up. Again, I didn't use it that often. I used it for like maybe 3 times. And the third case got rewritten since it was the least well liked. Gotcha. That makes sense. Now, I was gonna say, like, it was so weird, like, seeing, like, why is it not making any sense? Like, why is the guide that I pulled up, like, completely different? But I think the rewritten version was pretty cool. It does make me curious, though, what the original was like. Maybe I'll have to figure out a way of learning what that was like sometime later. Even if it was not well liked, I'm still interested in it. Also, Life Freya. So this is Life. You don't have the same hair color.
Miriam, you're back. Oh, hello, Life. How have you been faring? I heard about what happened to Professor Bellwether. I'm terribly sorry. That must have been an awful ordeal for you. Yes, thank you. But I've heard about your independent studies with the Crown Prince. Father is extremely proud of you.
Miriam just scoffed at the obvious lie.
It's been so long since you've been back at the manor. I was thinking we could have some tea together in the garden before the guests arrive. I'm terribly sorry, but I'm already exhausted from the trip here. I think I'd like to rest in my room and prepare for the Lord's ball tonight. Oh, okay. But let me know if you change your...
Life wasn't even finished before her sister walked past her and entered her room. Now I'm... Okay, this case is already very interesting. William's dead. For some reason, Steelman got attacked. Okay, hang on. One thing at a time. I feel like I need to order every big thing that's happened so far in this case, because there's already a ton of things. First of all, we have a person who's being suspected of crime who's blind. Okay. Second off, William Frigg is dead, one of the heads of the 4 house pillars, so that's going to cause huge ripple effects, I imagine, and cause a lot of potential corruption to keep, I don't know, I feel like a lot of corruption is going to happen. And of course, Arya got attacked. Why would Arya get attacked? That makes no sense to me. Why would Arya be attacked? Someone doesn't want Arya to prosecute the case. But why? And of course, now we saw that Tyrion's gonna take over for the prosecution, which is gonna be fascinating. Case 4, Severed Ties. Alright, here we go. I feel so out of place here. Despite my clear issues with Wyvern Guard's upper class, I somehow found myself at a party filled with them. I hardly recognized anyone, but from all the looks I was getting, they clearly recognized me.
Are you in the corner by yourself?
I can't believe I let you talk me into coming here.
Oh, look how pretty she looks.
Everyone is... I lost my train of thought.
I've been wanting to wear his dress for a while now. What do you think?
Oh,
it's that bad, huh? What am I supposed to do when he looks at me like that?
Happiness and shock. Thank you, McCoy. No, you look stunning, beautiful, breathtaking. Tyrion, it says crossed out and beautiful. Several words came to mind, all of which would be mortifying if I said them out loud. Good. You look good.
Oh, I look good. That's a start.
So it's almost as if she had the ability to read my thoughts. She couldn't actually do that, could she? With how scary she's been throughout this game, that honestly would not be that surprising if she could suddenly read thoughts. I mean, I have the ability to read people's minds, so logic would dictate that I'm not the only one. What if she could read my mind? What if she was reading it right now? Ruby, help me.
Am I interrupting something?
Probably. Miss Simora! Celeste and I quietly stepped away from each other when my mentor suddenly appeared.
I wanted to check in on you two before we went to meet with the Duke. I spotted Miss Simora's client following behind her. It was hard to read her. The Eye of Horus couldn't glean anything from her mind. Her poise barely shifted. She carried herself with the grace of someone who didn't seem easily rattled. Her expression was calm yet distant. Even when we made eye contact, it felt like she was just staring through me. This was my first time meeting her, but she still looked familiar for some reason. Hi, I'm Tyrion. I'm Miss Timora's ward. I extended my hand to shake hers. She seemed a little unapproachable. I hoped I wasn't being too forward. Instead of taking my hand, she clapped her hands together and took a deep breath. What?
Sorry. I didn't mean to do that. It's a bit of a habit of mine.
Oh.
I'm Beatrice. I've heard much about you.
Beatrice, a freelancer, a mysterious woman who seems to be related to the House Freyga, one of the 4 pillar families. She's currently working with Miss Timora to negotiate some kind of deal with William Freyga. Okay. She shook my hand before looking at Miss Timora. I wasn't sure about the details, but my mentor was brokering a deal between Beatrice and William Freyga. There were many elements of that which I found puzzling, but my mentor was tight-lipped as always.
We're going to have to Freyga study. Can you two stay out of trouble while we're gone?
Oh, come on. It's not like we always go looking for it.
Yet you two always seem to find trouble anyways.
Listen! It's like shit, we're not trying.
Cuthbert, we're in a manor filled with the highest members of the nobility. You're going to meet some familiar and unfriendly faces.
Don't worry, we'll keep it low profile, Miss Timora. So, why were you so insistent on accompanying Miss Timora to the Lord's Ball? You know you can tell me anything, right?
Everything that happened at Arnex made me think about things. Every noble in the kingdom attends this ball. I thought maybe whoever left me at my family's tavern would be here. But being here is starting to make me feel weird. The McCoys are my real family. Looking for the people who abandoned me feels wrong.
I don't think that's true.
Really?
I mean, I feel like it makes sense. You want to know who gave birth to you. I wouldn't be the person I am today without Miss Timora, but I still keep the memory of my mother close to me, too. I don't think it's disrespectful to find out more about yourself, and I'm sure your mother will understand.
You think so?
I'm sure of it. And I'm also sure of another thing. If I'm with you, I doubt any of the nobles here will want to speak with you.
Yeah, I didn't want to be rude, but
Yeah. Don't worry, I can find something to fill the time.
you're just gonna play chess alone somewhere, aren't you?
How'd you know? Maybe?
You really need to learn to talk to other people. Make some new friends or something.
No. In a room full of nobles?
I'm sure they're not all bad. Arya's pretty great, right? Pastor too.
She had a point. I never really was one to make small talk with strangers. I looked around the room of nobles. I recognized some of them from news articles I'd read over the years. There were also some people there who were around my age. They must have been the children of the noble heads. I could approach them. Chances were that one of them wouldn't be an arrogant pig. But the thought of everything that could go wrong was paralyzing. Yeah. It's fine. I don't need more friends. I spend most of my time with you anyway. That's enough for me.
Well, I'm gonna try and talk to some people.
Yeah, I'll see you later. Celeste left to mingle with some of the other partygoers. I was almost envious of how easily she could do that. I really wish I could strike up conversations with random strangers the same way she could. It was fine. She had her strengths, and so did I. But it only made me wish I could be there with her. Stop it. She was her own person. She was perfectly capable of handling herself. I would need to find something to pass the time. I instinctively went to my satchel. I thought about bringing out my chessboard, but if I did that here, I'd stand out even more. I should try to find somewhere I can be alone. Each table had a centerpiece of flowers on it. Most of the seats at the tables were filled. Didn't look like I'd be able to play here. But with a chandelier. Several gold-tinted chandeliers hung from the ceiling of the ballroom. It looks fancy enough to be worth a small fortune. It irks me knowing how much wealth the Duke must have been hoarding to afford all this. Anything else? I don't see anything else. Alright. To the manor hallway! This place looks pretty quiet. But there aren't any tables anywhere. I could play on the floor. Play on the floor. I always sit on the floor. Dog! What the? Dog! As I was walking through the hallways of the manor, I suddenly came face to face with a large animal. Before I could even realize what I was looking at, the creature quickly scampered away. Did someone leave a door open? I thought about telling someone, but the manor was full of nobles. I was sure that a servant would spot it eventually, and it wasn't as if anyone would believe me anyway. Either way, it would be best to look for somewhere else to play. Dog. There were several jewels mounted on the walls, and they were all equidistant from each other. I already knew that House Frege was wealthy, but embedding jewels into the walls made the manor look a little tacky. They even had gold-tinted chandeliers in the hallway. How much gold do you need? It was ridiculous when I really thought about it. This is just excessive. What about the gallery? Oh! I already see something of interest here. Is that there in the center of the sword? The spell-eating sword? I continued exploring the manor and found myself in a room with several displays. It looks like a gallery of some kind, but it was slightly out of place here. There were a few nobles in the room, and they were all silently appreciating the exhibits. William Frege must have paid a museum to display some historical exhibits for the Lord's Ball. Here's a face I haven't seen before. Who? Yo! What is this little monkey creature? I love the little monkey creature! What is this? I love him. I adore him. Who's the little monkey guy? He wore the vestments of an archaeologist, carrying 2 large satchels crammed with tools, maps, and other instruments. His hair was white and his skin was wrinkled, but he walked with the youth and spirit of someone who had a much longer life ahead of him. Although all these features were far less noble than the monkey hanging off his back. I love the monkey. The small orangutan tilted his head as he looked at me curiously. I love him. When I looked directly at him, he hid himself behind the old man's shoulders, peeking at me from behind.
I'm Harold Harrodson. I'm the curator of this collection.
Is that name a pseudonym or something?
No. I get asked that all the time.
Harold Haraldson, the leader of House Haraldson, he appears to be an archaeologist and historian. His noble house owns a Haraldson Hall of History located in Homerith. It can't actually be his real name. I see. Wait, as curator of this museum, he must have known a lot of myths and history. I wondered, how much do you know about the myths and cultures of the nations other than Wyverngard?
Oh no, the monkey's angry.
His eyes narrowed. Even his monkey eyed me suspiciously.
I know you. Your name is Cuthbert, isn't it?
It was never a good sign when someone recognized me.
You're not exactly a friend of nobility. I have to ask why you're here.
I'm accompanying my mentor. She has business with someone here. He eyed me warily, but his stare didn't carry the usual disdain I received from other nobles. I swear on the Scaled Lord I'm telling the truth.
The Scaled Lord is not someone whose name you should invoke so lightly. But it sounds like you're telling the truth. I just can't help but wonder why you're interested in other nations, though.
I needed to tread carefully. He seemed nice, but he was still a noble.
Look at the rock.
The kingdom scoured any available knowledge on the other nations. It was difficult to find anything on the celestial gods. But I didn't get many opportunities like this. I'm trying to learn more about the celestial gods.
That's not something I'd make a habit of telling people, especially someone in your position.
I know, but it's been impossible to find any information about them. I really need to find out more. Can you help me?
I can't exactly say no to such a curious mind. I'll help you the best I can, but don't let anyone know about this. Sharing this information is technically outlawed by the kingdom. This boy could put all of us in danger.
Oh dear. He's angry and shocked by it. Oh boy. Let's first look at the area around us. What's this? It's a pair of metallic armbands. There are several magical runes carved into them.
Those are the armbands of intellect. They were actually created by a member of House Franken many centuries ago.
Centuries? That would mean these armbands predate the invention of artificery.
That's correct. Legends say that whoever wore these armbands would be granted unparalleled levels of intellect. Many believe that House Franken created these to help them unlock the secrets of magic.
Armbands of intellect. An ancient artifact, when worn by a creature, the creature's intelligence would be increased beyond the limits of an average human. Legends say that it was forged by a member of House Frege to further their study of magic. What about these earrings? It's a pair of golden earrings. There are small jewels embedded in each of them.
I call them the Earrings of Vitality. They're an artifact I found in the ruins of the large Luminite temple. Whoever wears them would have their lifespan increased tenfold.
I'm sure it's just a legend, though. Did you read that from some ancient texts?
Not exactly.
I didn't even know there were Luminite temples in Wyverngard.
Almost all of them have been completely demolished by the kingdom over the years. A lot of Wyverngard's territory once belonged to the theocracy. The kingdom would rather have everyone forget that.
The Earrings of Vitality. An ancient artifact, when worn by a creature, that creature's wounds will slowly heal over time. Furthermore, its holder's lifespan will increase tenfold for as long as they're worn. Harold Haraldson found these in the ruins of an old Luminite temple. It's a crimson red short sword.
That's a sort of spell eating. Legends say that it has the power to nullify any kind of magic.
So it's like an anti-magic field.
In a way, but it has less than heroic origins. It's said that his sword was created through a blood pact between a mage and a demon.
A demon?
Demons are terrible and powerful creatures. They exist solely to sow chaos and oppose the gods. They supposedly took a great pride in their ability to deceive and corrupt people. Legends say that most demons have the power to absorb and nullify magic. Many have theorized that a demon imbued some of that power into the sword.
The sword spelling is ancient artifact when I think we already read this from the start. Is it safe to put something like this on display?
Don't worry, these displays are all fortified with several abjuration spells. I'd bet even Lord Steelwind would have trouble getting into this.
Haraldson's security. The artifacts on display at the Lord's Ball were protected by layers of abjuration spells. Even a highly skilled mage would have trouble breaking into them. Interesting. What about these paintings? There's a painting of some sort of scientist.
That man is Dr. Luke Kupfer. I'm gonna call him Kupfer. He was an alchemist and inventor from the nation of Arcane. He's well known for his studies into imbuing intelligence into automatons.
Intelligent automatons. Would that make them similar to arcane constructs?
Yes, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if Lord Von Sanctus used Kupfer's research to create those constructs.
I doubt he even created them. He seemed to be importing all of them from Arcane and taking credit for their work. Yeah. It's a painting of a researcher.
That is Professor Matt Furlan. He was a professor of some renown. He was a researcher of combinatorial magic theory.
What's that?
It's a study of how different types of magic interact with each other. He famously ran an experiment on what would happen if two anti-magic fields overlapped each other.
That's actually pretty interesting. What were the results of the experiment?
Well, they had mages enter the space where the two fields overlapped. It turns out that those mages were able to use their magic in that space.
Wait, how would that be possible? They would have had two anti-magic fields affecting them.
When the two fields overlap, they cancel each other out. I've heard that it's akin to multiplying two negative numbers together.
Fair enough. You already know the deal. Present everything.
Ah, what is this? A rare artifact.
It's an attorney's runestone. Proves that I'm a certified attorney.
Ah, all my colleagues have similar devices. They're so enamored with all these newfangled functions. Well, you won't catch me chasing passing fads like that.
Thank you, Grandpa. How'd you obtain such powerful items anyway? I've thought that the kingdom would still have a use for these.
Unfortunately, the members of the kingdom's upper class only care about political power. These items are tools of a bygone era. I'm afraid many nobles don't see the value in them.
Really? I'm kind of surprised by that. I would have thought at the very least there'd be interest. At the very least, the earrings seem like something that people would be interested in. I mean, it can extend your lifespan. Wouldn't that also mean you can stay in political power for longer? I would assume that. I assume it's going to say the same thing, but I'm going to check anyways, just in case. Yeah, it's the same thing. What about your security system? So what was the historian doing at the Lord's Ball, Mr. Haroldson?
Harold.
Right, Harold.
Anyway, the Duke invites my museum to set up some displays here every year. He must think it adds a semblance of culture, fool.
You own a museum?
Yes, it's Harrelson Hall of History, located in Holmhereth.
That's a mouthful.
Unfortunately, I don't think his guests appreciate the historical significance of these items. Honestly, I think you're the only person in years who's taken an interest in their histories.
Well, they are cute. They are cool looking. Look at me. What can you tell me about this, Mr. Haroldson?
Sorry, I'm not really sure what to make of this.
McCoy? What about Taimura? What about Wallace? I feel like you gotta have something to say about William. Surprisingly, no. I would have 100% thought. Miriam? Nope. Beatrice? Nope. Yourself? We already saw this dialogue. Alright, let's actually talk. This is the same thing as well. Okay. Wait, no it's not. Okay, Mr. Harold.
Harold.
He's being really stubborn about this. It'd just be best to go with it. My apologies, Harold.
The Duke of Finance invites my museum to set up some displays here every year. You must think it adds a semblance of culture, the Philistine.
Sadness and anger?
It's Harrelson Hall of History, located in the city of Holmhereth. Unfortunately, I don't think it gets to appreciate the historical significance of these items. Honestly, I think you're the only person in years who's taken a meaningful interest in them.
Sorry, but I really have to ask, is that a monkey riding on your back? I looked at the animal, but he quickly avoided eye contact with me and hid behind Harold's shoulder. I like him.
Yes, this is my familiar, Eugene.
I love Eugene. Oh, you cast familial bond with him.
I'm surprised you know about it. It's quite rare. Very few mages take the time to learn how to cast it.
Oh, he's so cute. Divination spell, Rent or Rum. No gesture, lasts until either target dies, and has no concentration need. The caster forms a magical, unbreakable bond with the target creature, connecting them with the caster's magic. While this bond exists, the caster can telepathically communicate with the target over any distance. The caster can also choose to see through the target's eyes as long as they concentrate. Any spells that affect the caster will also affect the target creature and vice versa. Lastly, the caster can also cast spells from the location of the target creature instead of their own location. The same thing that Von Sanctus cast on Violetta.
Eugene helps me with my day-to-day. These old bones aren't as spry as they used to be, after all.
I love him. Let's talk about the Celestial Gods. Harold, what do you know about the Celestial Gods? I haven't been able to find anything about them.
That makes sense. They're primarily worshipped by the people of the Theocracy and of Lumina.
That might explain why worship of them was outlawed. Lumina was the kingdom west of us, but I knew very little about them. All I knew is that we fought them during the First War of Wyverngard, and then later during the Great Luminite War. They've been Wyverngard's long-standing enemy for a while. Simply asking about them could raise suspicions of treason.
There are 9 celestial gods, each representing a divine domain in heaven. Deus, Odin, Machina, Horus.
Oh, hang on. Horus? I'm sorry, one of them is named Horus?
Yes, Horus the Lightbringer. He's the god of radiance and ruler of the 6th domain in heaven.
I thought I just made that name up when I was younger. Horus was real.
Is something wrong?
No, I was just thinking about what you said. Horus the Lightbringer? Could you tell me more about Horus?
As I said, he's the god of radiance. The sun and the concept of light lies within his domain. He's also said to embody the virtues of truth, justice, and life itself. He is the enemy of lies.
Well then. That strangely really fits in with the Eye of Horus we have. It sees right through lies. It was a little unnerving how much of a chord that struck with me. It almost reminded me of something. Does that mean that naught could remain concealed from him?
Some legends claim so. I'll be honest, I only have so many texts available to me. My knowledge of Lumina is limited to their myths, and my quest to travel to Lumina has been denied for decades. But there are many stories of his followers being blessed with the ability to see through lies and deceptions.
Almost as if they had his eyes. But that didn't make any sense. I didn't worship Horus. I didn't even know who he was until tonight. So why do we have it? It's gotta be related to his mother. It's gotta be related to Tyrion's mother. That's the only thing that I can assume. Because apparently Tyrion said that his mother also had the Eye of Horus. Why would he give me this ability? No, I need to think of this more rationally. The mages of Wyverngard supposedly descended from people blessed by the Scaled Lord. Using that logic, I could have descended from people who were blessed by Horus? Are any of his followers established in Wyverngard?
Heavens no, the Luminites are viewed as enemies of Wyverngard. I'd imagine any known followers would have had unfortunate accidents before them.
That might explain why my mother never talked about him with me, but I really wish she'd left me something.
You're being awfully inquisitive about this. Why are you being so interested in Horus and his followers?
It's purely academic curiosity. He clearly wasn't convinced, but he didn't push the matter further. My attention was drawn to the earrings of vitality. They're supposedly an artifact from the ancient days of the Theocracy. Harold, would it be okay if I took a closer look at these earrings?
How presumptuous.
I promise I'll be careful with them.
I suppose I can make an exception this time.
Lord Haroldson walked up to the display case and whispered something into the runic console attached to it. I heard several magical locks disengage before he opened the display case and carefully pulled out the artifact. I laid my hands out so that he could delicately place them in my hands. I carefully inspected the earrings. Each of them had a golden frame with a red luminous stone embedded in the center. They gleamed brightly under the artificial lights of the gallery. Almost abnormally so. Wait, there's something engraved in these earrings.
What?
I could barely make out the text engraved on the golden frame. It was nearly microscopic. I lie at the beginning of illumination. I lie within eternity, and I cannot be found in shadows. What am I? Huh? I lie at the beginning of illumination. I lie within eternity, and I cannot be found in shadows. What am I? Strange riddle.
Riddle?
What's the solution to this riddle? The letter I. Wait! I chose that as a joke! I chose that as a joke! I didn't think it would be actually the answer. Okay. It's the letter I. Illumination starts with I, eternity contains I, and there's no I. Oh my god. I said that as a joke. I just thought it'd be funny to say that the answer is the letter I. I didn't think it was actually the answer.
What did I just do?
The earrings suddenly lit up, blinding light washing over the gallery. I felt the ground disappear from under me. I felt like I was floating in water. What did I do? I should have been shocked and surprised, but the sensation somehow felt familiar and nostalgic. You strayed very far from home, young one. A voice rang out from all around me. It felt like bells ringing and reverberating inside my head. You're not much of a warrior, but maybe a warrior isn't what's needed to dispel the encroaching shadows. That light within you. Why is it so reminiscent of my fallen friend? What are you talking about? Who are you? I suppose it doesn't matter from which spark that flame came. It burns bright within you like that of a burning star. Go forth and walk the path of radiance, my heavens-born. Divine Edict. A divination it's a prayer of truth, no gesture, it's instant, and it requires no instant concentration. A divine invocation to manifest any covenant written in blood and spirit. All will be revealed whether said covenant was forged in heaven or hell. What? I'm sorry, did I just get magic?
Mr. Cuthbert, are you okay?
Did I just get magic? I think I just got a spell. Oh. A divine invocation that manifests any covenant written in blood and spirit. So does that mean we can identify if something was... like, what kind of pact was used to create something? If that's the case, then I want to see about that sword. If we can use that... What just happened? All I did was blink. I suddenly found myself back in the gallery as if awoken from a dream.
You were just standing there, staring at nothing.
Didn't you see that blinding light? There was that loud voice, too.
I didn't see anything. May I see those earrings?
Right, of course. I can't believe I got a spell because I wanted to jokingly say the letter I.
I don't see the engraving you were talking about.
I know it's small, but it's right. As I took another look at the earrings, I realized that the riddle had disappeared. The golden frame was smoothed and unblemished. It was as if the text had never been there. What? Was I just seeing things?
I doubt you hallucinated such a specific riddle. Am I being pranked? Did someone from the Historical Society put you up to this?
No, it was... What was going on? That riddle have something to do with the Eye of Horus. I hope Celise's investigation was going better than mine.
How dare you insinuate such a thing? I wasn't trying to insult you, I just... Enough! If you try to speak with me again, I'll have you arrested for harassment.
The noblewoman stormed off in a huff. Celise just let out an exhausted sigh. Every conversation she tried hadn't gone any differently.
This isn't working. I don't think asking like that will be very effective. What?
Yo! Oh, very cute.
Do you expect anyone here to be truthful with you? You're essentially asking them if they engage in adultery.
What?
Oh, hey Arya. I'm surprised to see you here. You're not party crashing, are you? Of course not. I came with Ruby and Tyrion. That honestly just raises more questions, but I'll take your word for it. I don't know if it's any of my business, but you should think about whether this is what you truly want. What? I understand you wanting to find out more about yourself, but getting entangled with the aristocracy will only bring you misery. I should know. I just want to know more about where I came from. It might help me understand all this weirdness inside me. I don't think you're weird at all. I quite enjoy your company. Aw, really? I'm sure Mr. Cuthbert feels the same way. Really? Is something wrong? No, it's just that... Actually, what do you think about Tyrion, Arya? Well, he's a remarkable attorney. His deductive skills are incredible. Frankly, I'm a little envious of his talent. I'm loath to admit that Ruby Timora has taught him well. I mean, as a person, Arya. I only know him in a professional capacity. Don't you notice how much he cares about people? I suppose he is quite dedicated to his job. It's not a job, just a job to him. He really cares about his clients and helping them. It doesn't matter how much danger he puts himself in. It doesn't matter who threatens him. He just keeps going, and it's honestly kind of annoying. He won't back down from anyone, not even the Four Pillars. Ever since he indicted Pierce, someone has been sending people into Tyrion's home. I'm good at my job, but I'm worried I'm gonna slip up one day and let him get seriously hurt. I'm sorry about that. I wish there was more I could help you with. I could do more to help you with that. It's fine. It's my responsibility to protect him. Have you ever told him how worried you've been? I don't want to stop him from doing what he's doing, and I don't think he'd listen even if I did. That's what makes him who he is. He's helping a lot of people. He inspires them too. He's amazing, and courageous, and caring, and sweet, and... Sleaze. No, I don't know. Things have been really weird since RNX. I didn't mean to ask you that, about that. Did something happen during Draco Jen's trial? Oh, we kinda slept together? Before marriage!
Arya, no!
No, not like that!
Arya, no!
We just slept in the same bed and held a hand.
Oh god.
Before...
Before marriage!
No!
What? I suppose everyone has different levels of libido, but you shouldn't be so reckless.
Arya?
Arya, I'm not gonna get pregnant from holding Tyrion's hand. Even so, I'm not sure what kind of woman you think I am. I do not wish to indulge you in your lecherous tales of illicit hand-holding.
Girl.
Oh, like you've never wanted to hold Aster's hand or anything like that. I would never. I only have the utmost respect for him. Come on, I was there at the refinery. It's obvious you like him like that. Please, you're grossly exaggerating things. And what if I told you he was standing right behind you? Do you honestly think I'd fall for such an obvious lie?
What are you falling for?
What do you mean you're here?
I had a feeling it was gonna be this game is comedy gold. It really is.
Why are you here?
What are you falling for? Arya's entire body whipped around to face her fiancé. She almost tripped as she stumbled backwards. Her voice started to break into a soft, high-pitched whimper.
Your Highness!
Celeste noticed how Arya's eyes were frequently darting between the Crown Prince's face and his hand. Oh, hello. Small child. Who are you?
Oh, hello, Lady Steelwind.
Your Highness, please don't run ahead like that.
Who's that? Who's a child? After my otherworldly encounter, I decided to head back to the ballroom and wait for Celeste. I was able to find a seat somewhere, and it gave me a chance to think over what had happened. I'd solved some sort of riddle, and mentioned illumination and shadows. Horus was also the god of light, and those earrings were of Luminian origin. Did my Eye of Horus react to them? Lord Haraldson had probably owned those earrings for years, yet he didn't see anything. And then there was this... Actually, I had no idea what this divine edict was. Was it a prayer? A riddle? An ability? A divine invocation to manifest any covenant written in blood and spirit. What did that even mean? It just sounded like some flowery nonsense a Church of Bahamut would say. If it was some kind of spell, it was nothing like the arcane spells I'd seen in compendiums. The descriptions of those spells were far more straightforward. It just felt like the more I learned about myself, the more questions I found. Skill Lord, how long have I been staring at that girl? Hi! My eyes just locked on the first thing across the room, but it was clear she noticed me looking at her. I quickly looked away, but as I glanced back, she tried to flash me a friendly smile. She didn't look offended, which was a relief. I imagine any other noblewoman would use this as an excuse to have me thrown out. Actually, she seemed to be the only person in the room who wasn't disgusted by my presence. Maybe Celeste was right. I need to learn to approach new people, and fate was giving me an opportunity. Hi! As I walked across the room, several nobles gave me the side-eye. She was surrounded by several attendants who moved to stop me from approaching her. However, she waved her hand to dismiss them. That was a good sign. Her attendants seemed to disapprove, but they didn't raise any objections and left quietly. On a closer look, she seemed to be a noble of some renown, but she seemed to exhibit a modesty that most aristocrats lacked. She was actually quite beautiful. Not as beautiful as Celeste, but... What was I thinking? I shouldn't be objectifying them like that. Tyrion. I need to keep my thoughts clear. I couldn't just... This girl just confused, like, why is this guy staring at me? I realized I was just standing in front of her, silently having this conversation with myself. She looked confused. I need to say something. How do normal people talk? Should I say a formal greeting, or would that just come off as pretentious? Maybe I should say them more casual, like Celeste would. I can make some kind of observation to connect with her somehow.
Now, come on, Tyrion, just say something!
Hello, my fellow blonde. Tyrion, you're a fucking idiot. This memory would haunt me for the rest of my life.
Tyrion!
Hello.
I cleared my throat. I'm sorry if I was staring. I was just daydreaming, I guess.
Oh, that's okay.
I wasn't staring at you. That's not to say I wouldn't intentionally stare at you.
Tyrion, what the hell are you saying? She's gonna think you're a psychopath! Recalibrate! Change the subject! Social interactions occurred for the sake of engaging individuals in activities. What activity would someone do at the Lord's Ball? Would you like to... You're...
Tyrion! Tyrion, you don't know how to dance!
Okay.
Oh, God.
Oh no, wait, oh no. I just realized a problem. like you in a conversation. Oh no, Tyrion. I know what's about to happen. Celise's about to see this and just... Oh no.
He asked her, what do you think of Arya's dress?
It suits you quite well, Arya. You look lovely.
Gross.
But I must say, Miss McCoy, I'm surprised to see you here. How'd you get an invite to the Lord's Ball?
I'm just tagging along for one of Ruby's jobs.
Oh, that explains why Mr. Cuthbert is here as well.
Oh, Tyrion's back. Where is he?
Her eyes scanned the ballroom until she found it.
Oh no. Oh no.
Who the hell is that?
Oh no!
Oh, I believe that's Lady Freyga. That's strange. She usually rebukes most men who approach her.
Oh, she does she?
Oh no. Please, please! I don't need a murder charge for you.
I guess Tyrion's special for some reason. Here, tell me you could dance.
They were stumbling along the dance floor. The Crown Prince watches Tyrion step on Lady Freyga's toes several times.
I don't think he actually can.
What would Freya want with Tyrion? She's up to something.
Oh no. Episode 5. Celise fucking murders somebody in cold blood. And we have to freaking acquit her somehow.
Arya, what do you know about her?
Arya's still staring blankly at the Crown Prince. It looks like she was running through several calculations in her head, but failing to arrive at anything. Another misstep caused me to step on her foot. I am so sorry, I don't do this a lot. Or at all.
It's okay. At least you're...
She winced in pain as I accidentally...
Tyrion, stop! Tyrion,
I was slowly chipping away at that considerate smile on her face.
you're an idiot! Tyrion, stop!
Perhaps you should follow my lead.
I carefully looked downwards, watching to make sure I didn't accidentally parry her foot with mine. I also made it easier. Looking at her face presented its own distraction. I'm Tyrion, by the way.
Yes, I'm aware. You've been in the paper a lot recently.
Oh.
I'm Leife, of House Freyga.
Oh! Leife Freyga, a noble. The middle child of William Freyga. She seems conflicted between her father's death and Beatrice's arrest for his murder. She's much kinder than Miriam. It's hard to believe they grew up in the same home. Game, the murder hasn't occurred yet. I understand that we know he's going to be murdered, but it is kind of funny to me that it's talking like he's been murdered in the context of the current time point. I'm just nitpicking it and being stupid, though. I'm sorry. I just thought it was funny. Of all the people I could have approached, I chose someone from one of the 4 pillar families. But she didn't seem too bothered. Why would she agree to dance with me if she knew who I was?
I'm sorry about not bringing it up sooner. I can imagine you wouldn't want to associate with someone like me.
No, it's just that I had a run-in with your sister a few months ago. I don't think she cares for me that much.
Then it sounds like we have something in common.
Before she could finish that thought, she suddenly froze. I almost tripped as I avoided stepping on her foot again. She was staring right at something behind me.
Oh no. Oh no. Either Freyga is about to die, or I'm about to die. No, what happened to that one guy in the last case? The one...
Oh no.
Her breathing was quickening and her hand began to squeeze my shoulder. Oh no! That's not what I thought at all. I turned to look and saw Beatrice storming through the ballroom.
Is that... I'm terribly sorry. I have to go.
Without another word, she quickly left, hurrying after Beatrice. Well, she looked very angry. Did the two of them know each other?
Ah, did you get snubbed?
Oh, thanks to Skill Lord, someone I actually know.
So, who was that?
She wore her usual approachable smile, but I could have sworn something about her tone was louder than usual. I'm about to die. I'm about to have whatever happened to that last guy happen to me. Please do not break every bone in my body. I was trying to talk to people. Isn't that what you told me to do?
Yeah, but I didn't mean that you should shoot your shot with Freyga. You're gonna tell me how you pulled that off.
Do I have to?
Yes. Sit down. I snuck you some bread rolls from the buffet.
Oh, have you tried them? They're amazing.
Yeah.
I'm about to fucking die.
It really is you. Where have you been all this time, Beatrice? We've been so worried about you.
Really? It appears you two have much to talk about. I'll be taking my leave. I've known for a while, but I still can't believe it. You're actually marrying her, aren't you?
You didn't leave me much choice. As the future king of Rivengard, I have responsibilities. I doubt you would know anything about that.
When did you suddenly start caring so much about responsibility?
I've always done what I had to for the people of Rivengard.
I barely even recognize you anymore.
I certainly hope so, considering what it was like back then.
I've always done what was necessary to stay in control. But what you're doing to Arya, it's...
I know. But she's willing to put aside her disdain for me for the sake of Rivengard.
It's not disdain, my guy.
Nine hells, do you seriously still...
Nah, he don't. Don't worry, bro.
I understand.
Or rather, I don't even know what it'd be like to understand. I've never been in a relationship.
Never mind. It seems like you're just as much of an oaf as you were before.
And your words still have such a unique way of cutting into me like a knife. I hardly miss that.
Beatrice just scoffed at that.
Oh my god, please say it again.
I really don't want
Come on, look on your face gets better each time.
to. Hey, my fellow blonde, what's going on? Sleep just starts sniggering herself again. You can't be this dense. You're becoming a black hole at this point. Bro's just gonna fall to the floor at some point, just being too heavy. Too dense. She started slamming her fist on the table, drawing some looks from the aristocrats nearby.
I can't believe it. I guess any line will work when it comes from you.
I'm just glad it's over. I looked like an idiot out there.
Hey, it's not over yet. You owe me a dance.
What?
Don't be like that. How often do we get to go to a party like this?
Before I had a chance to object, she grabbed my hand and started dragging me to the middle of the dance floor. That's probably gotta be painful considering how strong she is. Please, people are staring at us.
Who cares? They're nobles. They're gonna hate us no matter what we do.
She took hold of my other hand and pulled me into a waltz. No, this is cute. Sleeps, I have no idea what I'm doing.
It's easy. Just stop being so awkward about it.
It was easy for her to say. Alright, can you at least tell me what to do?
Well, first,
No.
you need to be closer to me.
With one swift motion, she pulled my body closer to hers. I don't remember being this close when I was dancing with Life.
Yeah? Well, I'm not like they. Watch where I'm going and follow my lead.
You seem to know a lot about these things.
I had to do a lot of networking when I was a mercenary. Do you know how many times I had to charm a merchant into hiring me?
I see. I carefully watched the movements of her feet and tried to match them. After a while, we both fell into a gentle rhythm. I accidentally stepped on her foot, but she didn't seem to react at all. She's probably so strong she probably didn't even notice we did. Was she being polite or does she genuinely not feel pain? I'm going with the latter.
You're getting it, but don't focus much on where your feet are. Just look at me.
What?
Come on, look up.
No, it is cute. I finally look up at her and she smiled back at me. It was embarrassing being this close, but every time I avoided her eyes, I found myself being drawn back into them.
There he is, the infamous Tyrion Cuthbert. He never turns away from challenging a noble, but he can't dance a step to save his life.
I was starting to become lightheaded for some reason. Was I sweating too much? I really hope it wasn't visible. Every part of my body was tense, but I didn't want to break away from her. There was a comforting warmth behind all this. Things were always different with her. I let myself relax a bit more and continue watching her movements.
See? There you go. But
What is it?
you know the man is supposed to lead, right?
Maybe I don't subscribe to gender stereotypes.
Or maybe you just suck at that.
It's definitely the latter, and I don't blame him. I couldn't dance to save my life either, buddy. I've forgotten what it was like to let go like this. It always felt like there was something to prepare for, a client that needed saving, a killer that needed catching. I've been so caught up in trying to learn more about the Eye of Horus that I was ignoring other thoughts I'd been having. No, that was very cute. I took a deep breath. Can we talk about what happened in Arnex?
Oh,
I felt her arms tense around my shoulder. It was weird, wasn't it? Us sleeping together. Or, I mean, I know we didn't sleep there, but I was nailing this. I was absolutely nailing this. Yeah, nailing your coffin. No.
no, I get it. It wasn't exactly professional.
Yes, exactly. It was very unprofessional of me. Even if it was an accident, I'm worried that I overstepped my boundaries as your employer.
Well, Ruby's my employer. You're different.
Your Honor, they're in love. Case closed. Indeed. Guilty as charged. Guilty. Different? How?
Oh,
She seemed to think about it for a moment before she sighed to herself.
I guess you're the only person that doesn't treat me like a monster.
Because you're a mage?
Come on, Tyrion. You've seen me fight.
I mean, you're scary in a fight.
I know you're just being polite about it, but it's off-putting, right?
It really isn't. What are you talking about?
Really. It doesn't freak you out whenever I beat up a crowd of thugs in an alleyway.
Honestly, it's just kind of cool.
How about last night when I ragdolled that thief and trying to break into your house?
That's honestly awesome. I would love to see that. I just get a show. What are you talking about? I was honestly more impressed by that than anything else. I was about to say, you don't think that's cool that you can just throw... It's just cool watching you throw bad guys. But come on. How am I supposed to be scared of that when it's just awesome to watch?
Stop being nice about it.
No.
I know it's not normal. Something inside me really enjoys fighting. I love it, but I also hate it. Every time someone's seen me fight, they start looking at me like I'm some kind of bloodthirsty freak. Even my parents used to look at me like that sometimes.
I'm really sorry if I've ever looked at you like that.
That's the worst part. You haven't. I never know what you're really thinking about. You always charge headfirst into danger without a second thought. This whole kingdom is rotting with corruption. I don't get how you can be so hopeful and optimistic all the time. I really admire you for that, but sometimes it feels too good to be true. It makes me wonder what's really going on inside your head.
You're really passionate about protecting the people you care about. When you fight, I see someone who deeply cares. You love the people around you so much that you're driven to stop anyone who threatens them. You make it all look so effortless. I don't think I've ever met anyone as strong as you. I thought you were always proud of that. It's one of the things I've always admired about you. I saw a smile curl on her lips as her face became flushed. You know the truth about me. I'm not some idealistic hero. I'm just a dumb, traumatized kid who thinks he can save everyone. We both stayed silent for a while, simply moving to the beat of the music. This is very cute, but I have a feeling that this is very quickly going to be, like, interrupted by, like, the announcement of, yeah, William Frick is dead, so you two gotta stop having your sweet moment and get to work. I'm fully expecting that to happen in a few seconds.
Tyrion, I didn't mind being unprofessional with you.
Oh, that's good.
But only if you were okay with that. Would you be okay with things like that?
Oh, I still wasn't certain about what she meant, or why she suddenly switched to the present tense. Was she trying to imply that she also wanted to... No, I couldn't rush forward before I had more evidence. I need to be tactful and vague. Well, I appreciate some level of professionalism in my work, but with you, I mean... Or that is to say that I'd like to attempt... That's not what I... That's not to say I don't not want to only be professional with you. But I agree. Skilled Lord, I just need to say what I want to say. I never felt this way about someone before. Oh. Happiness and shock. I don't know how to navigate this, but I want to, if you're okay with it. Could we try... I suddenly heard the... What did I tell you? I knew how this is going. You sons of bitches.
Wait at least another minute.
I suddenly heard the footfalls of several knights behind me. Slee's eyes widened, her lips pursed. Confused, I began to turn my head to see what the commotion was, but she just grabbed me by the chin.
Hey, why don't you finish that thought first?
Beatrice Frege.
Did you just say Beatrice Frege? I think something's happening.
Nope, it's just Orem. Turns out he's just an absolute monster on the dance floor.
Well, that just made me want to look more. How about saying, I want to see that now.
By the authority of the Wyvern Guard Crown, you're under arrest.
Seriously, now!
I agree. This is bullshit.
We should go see what's happening.
Yeah.
We will continue this later. Oh, Jesus.
You are completely out of line, Commander.
That is terrifying. I'm so used to this dude being like goofy and all that, but now he looks absolutely horrifying right here.
You are completely out of line, Commander. I thought I told you to stand down.
Do you not recognize who you're speaking to?
Alaric de Wyverngard. Oh, is this like your little brother? You know, in hindsight, maybe I should have realized that. Considering the look.
Let go of Lady Frege.
I can't really do that, Your Highnesses.
As we approached Beatrice, we saw the two princes standing between the Inquisition and Beatrice.
Your Highness.
Your Highness, what's going on? The Crown Prince scanned the room. Everyone's eyes were on him. He leaned towards me and spoke in a hushed whisper.
It's William Frege. He was found murdered in his study. And these cretins think that Beatrice is behind it somehow.
Sorry, Your Highness, but my orders came straight from Steelwind.
Lady Steelwind sent you.
Beatrice cursed under her breath and clapped her hands together.
I should go with them. What? No!
My brother is right. They have no right to...
We're causing a scene, and I don't want to cause friction between you and Arya. She's always been meticulous, and I'm sure she's just being careful. I'm sure I'll be exonerated once they thoroughly investigate what's happened.
Okay.
What? You can't just let them take her away!
Brother, she's correct. It is not our place to interfere with the laws of our kingdom.
But...
However,
Yes, Your Highness.
Miss Beatrice is blind. One of your knights will need to escort her.
She's what?
Beatrice Frege is completely blind. She's unable to see anything through her eyes. This has been verified through several medical reports and qualified Drugians. I still don't know how to say that.
Anyways, we're gonna need to take you to a holding cell, lady. One of you should stay with her and guide her through.
Please, I'm not a child.
Beatrice walked past the knights and toward the foyer. It appeared that she already knew her way out. Shouldn't you all be following her?
Right, Inquisition, move out.
It seemed to be just my luck that a night like this would end in murder. What the hell is going on?
Oh boy.
Hey, I can't believe they kept us here until noon. I kind of like how it looks better with the brighter lighting. I don't know. The Lord's Ball had already run well into the night, even before the murder occurred. I want nothing more than to catch up on my lost sleep, but I made a promise to the Crown Prince.
After her meeting with William, she was with my brother and me the entire night. She couldn't have stolen the Sword of Spell Eating and have murdered her father.
Of all the people that could have done those two crimes, why would Steelwind suspect a blind woman? Steelwind was never one to abuse her authority. There had to be a reason behind the arrest. So why? Not to mention that the Sword of Spell Eating had been stolen. After what Harold had said about it, I was uneasy about it going missing.
Mr. Cuthbert, could you defend Beatrice against these awful charges?
I doubt that will be necessary.
What?
Beatrice is Ruby's client. I'm sure she'll be the one defending her.
Well, that certainly puts my mind at ease.
Oh no, oh no, I just realized something. Aster trusts Beatrice. But at the beginning of this episode, we saw that Tyrion took over for the prosecution. Meaning he's going to technically, are we going to try and indict Beatrice? And if we try and do that, I don't think Aster is going to be a friend for much longer. Oh no.
That certainly puts my mind at ease. What's wrong? I'd like for you to investigate the crime scene for me, Mr. Cuthbert. What? But we just told you Miss Timora will... I know, but Beatrice is a dear friend of mine. I'd like every chance for her to be found innocent.
She was a dear friend. They must have known each other since she was a Frega. But why would Miss Timora, of all people, represent a member of the Pillar family? Leifa... I still don't know how to say his name. Leifa also seemed like she hadn't seen Beatrice in a long time. It was as if she'd spotted a ghost.
I can't believe this.
Sleaze returned from the ballroom. She changed back to her normal clothes. What's wrong?
The people in the co-room said they couldn't find my sword.
Where's my sword? What? Great! Why is this gone? When Sleaze returned to the coat room to change, she was told that her sword had gone missing. Someone must have taken it. Sword gone! She once told me that it was forged in the Eastern Kingdom and crafted from the bones of a purple worm. It was potentially very valuable. Did someone steal it? Let's keep an eye out for it while we look around the manor. This might all just be some kind of mix-up.
I hope so. So, can we continue what we were talking about before?
Oh, why was I so nervous about this? I just need to tell her how I felt. How did I feel? It might be best that we focus on the investigation. His Highness is counting on us, after all. I was being a coward, but there's a kernel of truth to what I was saying.
Okay. But we will be talking about this later.
Well, at least she seems happy about it, kind of. Let's head to the crime scene. His Highness said that's where the body was found. At least she's not pissy with us. I was worried she was gonna get, like she... Repario Arcanum, like she did in friggin' episode 3. Investigation. Are you worried about your missing sword?
No. Well, yes, I am worried. I'm sure it'll turn up eventually.
She was trying her best to hide how worried she was. I knew how important her sword was to her. I'm gonna be honest, even if she lost her sword, she could probably still kill like 1,000 guards with her bare hands. Just short of her usual, like, what, 10,000? Hopefully it would turn up somewhere in the manor. Wait, before I do that. Next lead.
Where should we go next?
The body was supposedly found in the Duke's study at the top floor. We should probably start our investigation there. First, I have to do my usual.
There it is.
Thanks for fixing my runestone. I was worried I'd have to buy a replacement.
Honestly, artificery is kind of fun. I kind of want to make something else.
Actually, now that you say that, it just reminds me. She says, artificery is kind of fun, I kind of want to make something else. It just reminded me that the settings option is, it's her working on the runestone, which is very cute. Very cute. Did you want to learn how to make small machines?
I was thinking more of a weapon.
Yeah, of course you were. Be careful, making magic weapons can be iffy with the kingdom's laws.
Well, it's a good thing I have a pretty good lawyer.
Celeste. What do you think about this, Celeste?
Sorry, Tyrion. I don't think I can help.
I wonder if... that new spell... A sword forged... Wait, hang on.
Sword forged by a demon. Do you think the legends are true? Tyrion?
Oh, sorry, I just got a little distracted. Thinking about the spell.
Harold Haroldson has got to be some kind of stage name, right?
Harold Haroldson is a very funny name.
Who would actually name their child that?
Someone who hates them. I think you're getting way too hung up on his name. Nah, I agree. Harold Haroldson?
Like, does he have children?
Harold Haroldson II. Harold Haroldson III. Harold Haroldson with the middle name being Harold the Fourth.
Are they also named Harold?
It's just a family of Harolds. Even the daughters are named Harold. He has a pet monkey. It's named Eugene.
You're just making things up now.
No, surprisingly not. Listen, I was talking to a cat last time. Although you don't know about that at this point. But still, I was talking to a cat last time. Not a lot of things can surprise me at this point. Actually, that's a lie. But still.
Beatrice has been through a lot, hasn't she?
From what we've heard about her father's cold behavior, I don't blame her for leaving. She probably wanted to leave her old life behind. The two of us were similar in that regard. Sword gone. Familial bond. I still don't think a spell has ever caused someone to talk. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. I think it has. I think in the second case, mostly, though.
Can't believe Tyrion Cuthbert doesn't know how to do a simple waltz.
There was never any need for me to learn how to. I don't know how to dance either, man.
How about it? Do you want to try dancing again?
We're technically on the job right now. What will Aster say if he sees us goofing off? How about you? I've never danced before. It was so embarrassing to do that in front of so many people.
Sorry, I kind of pulled you into that, didn't I?
I didn't mind it. There's also something peaceful about it. Made everything else disappear from the world. Swing with her at such a gentle rhythm. The feeling of her hand clasped within mine. And that just reminded me of that night in Arnax, something that would have been very distracting if I started thinking about it again. I think I wouldn't mind doing something like that regularly. There are probably some books I could read about it. Sleece chuckled to herself.
Or I could just teach you, Tyrion.
I suppose that could work too. Nothing on Ruby. What about Wallace? I never expected to see Wallace with Steelwind. I wonder why she'd choose him of all people as her aide. Well, we know now. For some reason... Why would... I'm still stuck up on that. Why would somebody attack Steelwind? And for what purpose?
Maybe she's trying to copy us and turning a mage.
That'd be funny. But she can already cast Detect Magic.
Come on, that's not the only thing I can do.
It's kind of the only thing I ask you to do.
William Frigga doesn't sound like the best person, does he?
Not really, to be honest. Many people in Wyvern live in poverty, yet he's able to afford this extravagant house. You don't live a life like this without hoarding wealth for yourself.
Tyrion,
But like anyone else, even he deserves justice for his death. Fair enough.
Miriam seems different now. She's a lot less arrogant.
She must be going through a lot. She unexpectedly lost her father and her long-lost sister is being charged with murder. Yeah, that would take a lot out of anybody, wouldn't it? I already saw this dialogue. I guarantee you this is gonna... yeah. What about Eugene? Look at the monkey. What do you think about this? Somebody talk about the monkey. Wait. It is funny to me that the monkey has transmutation magic. I know it's because he has transmutation magic, and it said that it can be cast through the familiar, but still, it's funny.
I actually saw Arya during the ball.
Oh, I must have just missed her. I guess every noble in the kingdom was here last night. Does that mean her father was here too?
Hopefully we don't run into him.
Considering what happened last time, I wouldn't put bets on that. I never would have imagined that we'd be on good terms with the Crown Prince of Wyverngard.
I'm surprised you even considered trusting him. I thought you would hate anyone from the nobility.
I have an insight when it comes to gauging people's sincerity. And Lively.
Hey, my fellow blonde, what's going on?
You're never gonna let me live that down, are you?
You sound like an arcane construct trying to pose a human.
I was nervous, okay?
Oh, you were nervous.
Look, I was just as nervous when I first met you.
Wait, you were nervous when you met me?
Why would I say that? She disables the centerpiece.
To be honest, it kind of looks tacky.
I'm sure their notion of aesthetics must fly over the heads of peasants like us. These chandeliers look fancy enough to be worth a small fortune.
The banking houses are loaded, aren't they?
Repario Arcanum.
I don't see any magic in here. Alright, that's all for in here. The study in the gallery. I kind of actually want to go to the gallery first, honestly. Returned to the gallery and saw a legion of knights inspecting the crime scene of the theft. The entirety of the... It's not just the sword that's gone. The entire display is gone. I didn't see Mr. Haraldson anywhere. The Inquisition must still have been questioning him. This is also gone. The intelligence display case that held the armbands of intellect is empty. It's a painting of some sort of scientist. Supposedly his name is Dr. Luke Kupfer. He's an alchemist and inventor from the nation of Arcaris. He is well known for his studies into imbuing intelligence in automatons.
Intelligent automatons? Like arcane constructs?
Von Sanctus was importing a bunch of them from Arcaris for his plans in Arnax. The technology for those constructs was probably invented there. The display case is completely shattered. Oh, it's just destroyed? The thief was able to do this despite there being several abjuration spells protecting it. Oh, now that you mention it, I actually see the glass. I thought it was just gone, I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought it was just vanished. I didn't even notice the glass. It's like, did somebody just steal the whole display? Painting of a researcher. His name is Professor Matt Ferlin, Professor of Combinatorial Magic Theory.
What is that?
I have no idea. The display case holding the earring of vitality is completely untouched. Whoever stole the artifacts ignored it. Oh, what the?
There are traces of evocation magic on the shattered glass.
Evocation is a school of magic that creates and unleashes raw energy. It's the most primal of the 7 schools of magic. Someone must use a powerful spell to blast this display case apart. Interesting. Well, I'm sure we'll come back here later. For now, study. I arrived at the crime scene and saw the usual swarm of Inquisition Knights. However, there were some members of the Kingsguard alongside them. They must have been working together since the victim was the head of a pillar family.
I wasn't expecting to see you here, Mr. Cuthbert. I thought Ruby Tymora was defending this case.
Prosecutor Steelman approached us as we entered the study, and she was followed by an unexpected yet familiar face.
Wallace, what are you doing here? He's here as my aide for the investigation.
So at this point, from what we heard at the beginning, she said that she went to Wallace after she got attacked. So by this point, she's actually bleeding. She's hurt bad at this point. She's hiding it, though. Hiding it with the illusion magic and with Wallace's help. But why? Why would she be attacked? That's what I don't get. I didn't doubt Wallace's abilities, but why would Steelman need his help? Anyways, we're here on behalf of the Crown Prince. He hired us to investigate this case independently.
I see. I'm sure he just wants to make sure the investigation goes smoothly. Well, if you're here on behalf of His Highness, I'll do whatever I can to help you.
This whole situation was strange, but our goal remained the same. Steelman would be able to tell us more about what happened. What's wrong?
The entire room is covered in traces of abjuration magic.
Really?
Everything is glowing white.
Right, that makes sense. There were several anti-magic fields covering the manor. Those fields probably left traces of abjuration everywhere.
I won't bother showing you the traces of abjuration while we're here.
Preparing Arcanum!
Alright. It's a bookshelf filled with books.
I wonder what kind of books the Duke own. Wait a minute. They're all blank.
Why? All of his real books seem to be on the floor and his desk. Blank book. There's a window that leads into this room. Could the murderer have escaped through there?
No, the window didn't open. The glass was magically reinforced.
There's a large mahogany table at the end of the room. The Duke must have done his work here. There are several books about economics and politics. It doesn't look like there's anything of note. It's a fireplace. Could the murderer have entered through there?
That wouldn't be possible. The chimney is far too narrow. Even a small child wouldn't be thin enough to fit through.
It's a painting of some sort of scholar. There's some text on it. Rook Rasingar, economic scholar and aristocratic accountant. He was known in some circles as Rook the Cook, due to his ability to cook the books of the 4 pillar houses.
Rook the Cook?
What does that mean?
Sometimes I wish I could have a nickname like that.
What about Crimson Demon?
Not that one.
Another chandelier! How many do you need?
This room probably costs more than my family's tavern.
Probably does. Well, let's look at the obvious. There's a pool of blood and a chunk outline where the body must have been. Well, I thought there'd be more to say on that, but I guess not. And there's no sign of magic. Arya, you already know what I'm about to do.
Your runestone's still in good shape, I see.
Well, because Celeste is really good at repairing it.
You never told me you could work with artificery. I just started learning about it a month ago. Really? What's wrong? What's wrong? It's nothing. How does she have so much raw natural talent?
She is very capable. It is strange. What can you tell me about this, Steelin?
I'm sorry, but I'm not the person to ask.
Earrings? Sword. Why would Harold keep such a dangerous weapon on display?
There's value remembering and honoring our kingdom's history, especially the unsavory parts. Anyway, the exhibits were heavily protected. Only a powerful mage like Beatrice could have broken into them.
So even someone like Steelin considered Beatrice to be a powerful mage. Really? I still fail to understand how you think Beatrice broke into Harold's secure exhibits.
She's creative. I'm sure she found a way.
What do you mean? Steelin, I really need to understand why you think Beatrice did this. She's completely blind, isn't she?
You don't know her as I do.
It just seems really difficult to believe.
House Frigga has always thrived by politically maneuvering around the other pillar families. And no one has embodied that more than Beatrice. In her years studying at the Imperial Academy, she didn't just excel, she dominated. She has an uncanny talent for understanding what people wanted, and she knew exactly how to use that to her advantage. During her first year, she had the ear of the student council president. By her second year, he had stolen his position from him, and she only gained more influence after that. It wasn't long before professors were deferring to her. Students would seek her favor. She even had her hands in the school board. In 4 short years, she had turned the Imperial Academy into her own personal empire.
Damn.
She's always calculating, and she knows exactly how to get what she wants. She was even arranged to marry the Crown Prince. Even now, I'm living in her shadow.
Really?
What?
Did something happen to change that?
I won't speak much more of it, but there was an accident. She was horribly injured and she lost her sight.
So she wasn't always blind. I kind of figured that, judging by the way things were being talked about. But what caused her to go blind?
I'm not sure what happened after that, but she later fled Frigga Manor and went into hiding. No one knew where she'd gone, and she ignored any attempts we made to contact her. Last night's ball was the first time in years that Aster and I had seen her.
Beatrice Frigga fled from her family 5 years ago and went into hiding. Until the night of the murder, many of her friends and family members hadn't seen or heard from her. Then how did Miss Timora meet her? That's a great question. How did Ruby know?
Steelin, did the Inquisition happen to find my sword anywhere? Your sword? I can't say I've heard anything about it, and I'm sure the Inquisition would have recognized it.
Don't worry, I'm sure we'll find it somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, Nothing about familial bond. What about divine edict? Nope. Me?
I was quite surprised to see you two at the Lord's Ball yesterday.
Yeah, it's a long story.
Curly, you came accompanied by Beatrice Frigga. She was the last person I expected to see that night.
I sense some disdain in her voice.
I apologize that your investigation didn't lead anywhere, Miss McCoy. No, it's fine. My expectations weren't that high coming into this. I still wanted to try, you know? If only I could have that much optimism.
Ruby, is this the first time you faced off against Miss Timora?
No, I prosecuted her defendants before. I've actually had more luck convicting her defendants over yours.
You haven't convicted a single one of mine. Wait, really?
I wouldn't let that inflate your ego. You're clearly more picky about who you defend.
What's that supposed to mean?
You tend to pick defendants that you're sure are innocent.
I'm sure Miss Timora does that too. I'm gonna be honest, I agree with Steelin. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I fully believe in that. Not that I doubt his skills, but why choose Wallace as an aide?
Well, I have my own reasons for choosing him.
She seemed pretty tight-lipped about Wallace, but I didn't see any reason to pry. Again, at this point, She's bleeding. Ugh. What can you tell me about William Frege?
He's probably the most powerful nobleman in Wyverngard aside from my father. My family's been at odds with the Freges for as long as we can remember. My father's probably salivating at the thought of House Frege losing its head.
Really? How about Miriam? I wonder how Miriam is taking all of this.
I'm surprised that you're worried about her. Last I remember, she was quite furious with you two for tricking her.
She may be a pompous jerk, but she still lost her father. I was about to say, she still lost someone important. That ain't cool. And now her long-lost sister is being charged with murder.
Yeah, she must be going through a lot.
As much of an asshole she was to us, she's still a person.
I activated the conversation again with Beatrice.
What about Harold Haraldson? I kind of wish that she had something to say. What about the monkey? What about you? We somehow always end up meeting each other, don't we?
Well, it can't be helped. We work on opposite sides of the same profession, after all. Although I am remiss that I still don't know much about you, despite our many meetings. Would you like to go somewhere together in the future?
Oh. Oh no. Uh-oh. Sleaze?
I'm only joking. I'd never think of asking you out in front of your lover.
I like that you just came out and say that. Thanks. What? Sleaze is... I found myself stammering over my words. It's not even subtle, Tyrion. Ah! Smile.
Wait a minute. Is this payback for last night?
It is 100% payback.
I have no idea what you're speaking of.
I saw that smile. Speaking of your lover, I'm sure you have mixed feelings about Aster hiring us.
I don't. He's free to put his trust in whoever he wishes. He does admire you, after all.
Anger and shock. The anger is because he... I think I can assume why the anger is there. Yeah, I've always begged to differ.
He clearly trusts your judgment more than mine. You didn't even think to ask me. Tyrion, change subject, please.
I'm on it. What about, Leifa? What's your impression of Lady Leifa Frege?
She tends to keep to herself, so I don't know her very well. After Beatrice left, everyone assumed that she would be the one to inherit House Frege. I'm sure that was a difficult burden for her to bear.
Okay. What can you tell me about the murder? I want to know, how did he die? Well, I'm an idiot. I just remembered I remember now. We were told at the beginning of the episode.
William Frege was found dead in this room after the lockdown was lifted.
Wait, lockdown? What lockdown?
From what we could tell, his throat had been slashed open with a letter opener.
The cause of death was blood loss. Both of his carotid arteries were severed.
It was expertly done. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. Here's the autopsy report if you want a detailed description.
Died at 3:12 a.m. Cause of death was blood loss after his throat was slashed open. Both carotid arteries were severed, meaning that death must have followed mere seconds after the wound was inflicted. Body shows several scratch marks on the face and back. Traces of illusion magic were also found on the body. Were you able to find the murder weapon?
Yes, it was a letter opener owned by the victim.
The murderer must have found it in this room and used it.
There was one strange detail about the weapon. The handle was completely shattered.
Eh.
We're not sure what to make of that detail, but it's as if something crushed the handle using tremendous force.
The handle was broken? Murder weapon. The murder weapon was a letter opener with House Frege's crest on it. It must have been owned by the victim. Its handle was completely shattered. It would have taken a tremendous amount of force to crush it like that. Weird. What could have caused a handle to shatter like that? What do you mean the lockdown? I don't remember there ever being a lockdown. You mentioned that there was a lockdown. When did this happen?
You didn't notice. The Inquisition did try to be discreet. But everyone knows the commotion Beatrice and the two princes made over it. I suppose you two must have been lost in your own little world, weren't you?
Oh, it happened when we were dancing. Oh. Anyways, you said that the Duke's body was found after the lockdown. Was the lockdown triggered when the Sword of Spell Eating went missing?
It didn't just go missing. There was clear evidence that someone had broken into one of the Haraldson exhibits.
So there was also a theft last night. Does the Manor's lockdown system behave like the one at the Imperial Academy?
The systems are somewhat different. Unlike the Imperial Academy, the lockdown only prevents people from leaving or entering the manor.
So not all of the rooms are locked, but what about this specific room?
This room does have abjurative wards that lock the door and prevent teleportation in and out of it. In addition to that, the system placed an anti-magic field over the manor.
Anti-magic field, an abjuration school, incantation is Kuteria. No gesture, it lasts while concentrating and it requires concentration. While concentrating on the spell, the caster forms a 10-foot radius sphere that nullifies all magic within it. Any spell effect that enters the sphere instantly dissipates, and any mage that tries to cast a spell within the zone will fail to do so. And the system somehow covered the entire manor in this effect.
I'm sure you noticed several purple crystals embedded in the walls of the manor.
Oh, those aren't just decorative. Those are... Ah, I see.
Each of those crystals produced an anti-magic field during the lockdown.
I see. The lockdown system covers the entire manor. Once activated, it creates magical barriers that prevent anyone from leaving or teleporting out of the building. In addition to this, it covers the entire manor in an anti-magic field within the shield. It covers the entire manor in an anti-magic field. Within the shield, any and all magical effects are nullified and disabled. However, anyone physically or magically connected to the Sword of Spell-Eating would be immune to the effects of the anti-magic fields. Because it would cancel, yeah. So no one could cast magic during the entirety of the lockdown?
Not exactly. Someone could have used the stolen artifact to circumvent it.
Can you tell me more about the theft? Who reported it?
After Lord Haraldson reported what happened, the Inquisition discreetly placed the manor on lockdown. They searched every room in the manor to try and find it, but it was eventually found in Beatrice's bedroom.
And that led them to believe that she had stolen it.
That's correct. The Kingsguard moved to arrest her, but His Highness ordered them to step down. It didn't look like she was planning on fleeing, so they planned to wait until after the party had ended.
But then they found the Duke's body.
Correct. We believe that she used the stolen sword to nullify the magical locks and break into the Duke's study. But if she had the sword, why wouldn't she use that to commit the murder? We're not entirely sure. We have a few working theories. She might have wanted to prevent the theft from being tied to the murder. Or perhaps she had more confidence wielding a knife instead of a sword.
She's blind.
Regardless of her reasons, it's clear that the sword wasn't the murder weapon.
So she's not just being implicated in the Duke's murder, she's also being charged with stealing the Sword of Spell-Eating. But what possible reason would she have to do either of those? And how could she possibly carry out all these crimes if she were blind? Why was the Duke here? Since the body was found here, was the Duke locked in his room during the lockdown?
Yes, William Frigga knew that this room should have been secured. He's supposedly in a bad mood. He locked himself in this room for most of the night. He refused to let anyone into the room. The only person he spoke to after that was Leifa. She tried to tell her father about the theft, but he was apparently preoccupied with something else. He said that he wanted to stay in his study for the rest of the night.
When did this happen?
It was shortly before the lockdown was activated, a little after 1 a.m.
I see. Leifa's testimony. After his meeting with Beatrice Frigga, William Frigga retreated into his study and locked himself within it. He refused to speak with almost everyone who tried to disturb him. The only person he spoke to was Leifa Frigga. She told him about the theft of the Sword of Spell-Eating a little after 1 a.m., but William didn't seem to care and returned to his business. Leifa must have been the last person to see William Frigga alive then. I was already acquainted with her. She might be able to tell me more about the Duke's actions that night. By the way, Steelwyn, do you have a map of the manor?
I do. Would you like a copy?
Please and thank you. Thank you. Map of the ground floor of Frigga Manor shows the rooms relevant to the case. Relevant. Let me take a look at those, if I might. The ballroom, storage, studies on the far left, coat room, sitting room, kitchen, pantry, bathroom. And on the second floor, we have Beatrice's bedroom, bath, rooftop garden, Miriam's bedroom, Leifa's bedroom, William's bedroom, and the gallery. Not really anything I feel like I can do with this yet, but just keep that in mind, I feel. I need to keep that in mind, I feel. Were there any other witnesses aside from Leifa who saw the Duke that night?
There was someone who heard the altercation, but it's not much to go off of. A servant was trapped in a storage room nearby.
Why was a servant trapped?
The air vent that connects to this room runs through that storage room. He supposedly heard sounds of a struggle through that vent.
What did this witness hear?
He heard sounds of a struggle before he heard the Duke choking, presumably on his own blood. When the lockdown was lifted, he informed the Kingsguard of what he heard. That's when they discovered the body.
I see. Who was the servant?
I believe you actually know him. His name is Jan.
Why is Jan here? What? Jan? How'd you get here? Huh? What's Jan doing here? I never expect to see him again. Much less here, of all places. Bro got a promotion. Did William Frigga hire him after he was let go from the academy? Steal one. I really need to understand. How many times have I seen this dialogue? Would you happen to know why Beatrice was meeting with her father after all these years?
I had some ideas, but nothing concrete. I was hoping you could tell me. Timur and Beatrice have both refused to disclose anything about their meeting.
What could that meeting have been about?
Speaking of which, I haven't seen Timur anywhere in the manor. As a defense attorney, I would have thought that she'd be here to investigate the murder alongside you.
That was strange, but Miss Timura has always had her own way of doing her job. Perhaps she was using a different strategy.
Anyways, I imagine that she met with her father to request financial aid.
What makes you say that?
I have it on good authority that she was deeply in debt. That seems so unlike her. Was she truly that desperate? That's the only reason why she would speak with her father after all these years. It's also why I believe she was the one who murdered him.
You think she murdered him for his inheritance?
It's the only motive that makes sense.
There's a lot of work through here. The prosecution was trying to assert that Beatrice committed the murder. But what would she have needed to do to carry out all the actions described? We need to narrow down the time that the murder occurred. When did the murder occur? The body was discovered after the lockdown was lifted. And Leifa Frigga saw her father alive before it was activated. He entered his study, and she watched as the lock engaged. What if it occurred during? Right. The murder must have occurred during the lockdown. Yeah, because they said how the sword was needed to open the door. Right. The murder must have occurred during the lockdown.
But that means that the murderer somehow got past the abjuration wards that protected this room.
Steele and the Inquisition believe that Beatrice used a sword spell eating to get past them. Regardless of what they think, we need to assume that the murderer used some kind of magic nullification to get into William's study.
But that's not necessarily true, is it? What if the murderer entered the room before William locked it?
If they were in the room when William locked it, they would have been trapped here until he decided to leave. Not only that, they would have been discovered the moment the guards entered his study.
Maybe they used some kind of invisibility? Or they could have teleported away the moment the Kingsguard unlocked the door.
What about the abjuration, though? The room's covered in abjuration wards, you said.
This room is enchanted to block teleportation. A spell like that wouldn't work.
Right. I remember Miriam did something similar to her dorm room at the Imperial Academy. What about Celise's theory about an invisible assailant?
I'll admit that we did find small traces of illusion magic.
Really?
But the moment the guards saw the body, one of them cast Detect Magic. With that spell, they would have seen any invisible person hiding in this room. Wait, you can use Detect Magic like that?
I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Of course, it's standard procedure. Like all spells, invisibility leaves traces of magic on the person it's cast on. So mages can use Detect Magic as a way to see them.
So we know for sure that they weren't here before or after the lockdown. This means that whoever committed the murder used some way to bypass the abjurative wards that protect this room. Method of entry. What is this freaking icon? The murderer somehow entered William Frigga's study despite it being protected with the abjurative wards. These wards magically locked the only door leading into the room. They also prevent teleportation in and out of the room. It's possible to temporarily nullify these wards with a sort of spell eating. The next thing to consider is the murder weapon. Where did the murder weapon come from? It was a letter opener that was presumably owned by William Frigga. The murderer probably used it to avoid leaving evidence that incriminated them.
What if...
Clearly owned by William Frege, so where would the murderer have taken it from? So where would the murderer have taken it from?
Maybe...
Right, the letter opener came from this room. Murderer probably wanted to avoid using a weapon that would have implicated them, so they decided to use it and leave it here afterward. But that leaves a glaring hole in the prosecution's case.
And what would that be, Mr. Cuthbert?
What is flawed with the prosecution's case?
What if...
Beatrice Frege is completely blind. Even if she were somehow able to break into the highly guarded exhibit, how did she slip past the guards and enter the Duke's study? Furthermore, how did she locate the letter opener if she couldn't see it in the first place? None of it makes sense. Committing this murder unseen would have been a tall order for anyone. I can hardly believe a blind person did all of this.
You do well not to underestimate her, Mr. Cuthbert.
Look, I understand she's probably really intelligent, but it just seems impossible.
If there's anything I know about Beatrice Frege, she can turn possibility into inevitability if she wants to.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Cuthbert?
What's wrong?
What would you do if you discovered that one of your clients was guilty?
What? I tend to have an insight into these sorts of things. I've never been in that position.
I've already seen your uncanny ability to read minds. To read people. But why don't you humor me? What would you do if they were guilty?
I suppose I withdraw and tell them to find another lawyer.
If no one else would represent them?
I don't know. It would definitely be a difficult choice for me. But I would never be able to represent them if I knew the truth. I don't think I could stand by and let a murderer escape justice. Why do you ask?
No reason.
Okay. Anyways, she made her stance clear. I still had a lot of leads to follow up on. Weird. I don't know how I feel about that, but... Beatrice's room, storage room, or the gallery? Is the gallery open yet? Nope. How about not study? Storage room. We entered the storage room, hoping to investigate the air vent that connected to the Duke's study. When we come across a person lying on the floor, please tell me it's Jan.
What? Wait, Jan? Is that you?
Yay!
Oh man. What's with all the noise? I was having such a good nap too.
Mr. Hughes.
Oh, it's you two.
Are you taking a nap in the storage room?
Kingsguard won't let us leave until they finish investigating the murder. And I spotted Lucio Steelwind in that room with the nice couches.
Oh no!
No way am I sleeping anywhere near that guy.
Lucio Steelwind was here. I'm surprised someone like him would attend the Lord's Ball. Anyways, the prosecutor told us that you heard the murder from here during the lockdown. Do you think you could tell us what happened?
Sure, why not? My nap's ruined anyway.
You already know the deal. Several boxes in this room appear to contain various cleaning supplies. There's a stepladder. I have a bad feeling about this. No.
I agree.
I swear to God, game. You! Best joke. I was wondering where it was going with this. Freaking stepladder. There's an air vent that leads into the Duke's study. Supposedly, Jan heard the altercation between the Duke and his assailant through this. Any magic?
Arcanum.
I'm not seeing any magic.
I agree.
You better.
I feel like we've done this before.
We have. Sorry, did I already show you my runestone at the academy?
I don't know, probably. You know what they really need to make? A runestone that can instantly clean any surface.
Why would an attorney need a function like that? What are you telling me about this, Mr. Hughes? Mr. Hughes? I didn't invoke much of a response. Okay. Wake up! I doubt he's gonna have much to say in regards to a lot of the stuff. But I still want to check regardless. You never know what might just suddenly give a little bit of dialogue or even potentially help. Murder weapon? How about lockdown? Why was he locked in here, by the way? That's what I want to know as well. Map? Bro's just sleeping through everything. Like, I'm trying to present him all this evidence. He's just asleep right now. Wake up! Familial Bond? Divine Edict? Anti-magic? Me?
Man, I never thought I'd see you two again. Trouble seems to follow you wherever you go.
I think it's more that we tend to follow trouble wherever it appears.
Same difference. So he is. That's my assistant. Kind of surprised he has nothing to say on Wallace. Nothing on William. Nothing on Miriam either, considering they were both involved in that, in episode 2's case. What do you think about the monkey? Are you? Is he only gonna have, like, a reaction to, like, what, 2 things or something? Or 1 thing? Do you at least react to yourself, sir?
So you're working as a caretaker, caterer now.
Not exactly, but I was part of the catering staff. The twins started their own food business after Frigga threw us out of the academy.
Right, sorry about that.
Nah, it's not your fault. Even if Redmond was still headmaster, I'm sure the board would have found some other way to get rid of us.
Wait, are Valentine and Valerie here too?
No, they just contracted some staff to do for the Lord's Ball. I think a bunch of our businesses did the same thing.
I wonder how they felt about this. They lent their services to the very man who got them fired in the first place. William must have offered them a lot of gold. So you're working as servant now. Wait, does the
Things happen.
It's kind of the same, but I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read through it all anyways. It seems like it's the same, but it's different wording, so I don't know.
So you're working as a servant now.
Not exactly, but I was part of the catering staff. The twins started their own food business after Frigga threw us out of the academy.
Alright, sorry about that.
Things happen. I'm honestly glad I'm out of that place.
Wait, are Valentine and Valerie here too?
Nah, they just contracted some staff to the Duke of the Lord's Ball. I think a bunch of our businesses did the same.
I wonder how they felt. I lent their services to the very man who got them fired. Must have offered them a lot of gold.
Man, I can't believe I got myself pulled into another murder investigation.
You just got bad luck, man.
Do I have bad luck or...
Yes. The prosecutor told us that you heard the altercation through the air vents. Could you tell us exactly what you heard?
Well, I didn't hear everything. I was taking a nap in this room when it happened.
Why were you napping here?
I had nothing else to do. I accidentally closed the door when the lock was engaged.
Fair enough.
Before I knew I was trapped here. After a while, the sounds of some kind of scuffle were coming through the vents. I couldn't hear everything, but I heard the Duke shout, "Who are you? What do you want?"
Who are you and what do you want? That's weird. I would assume William would recognize his own daughter. I mean, although I guess, 2 things. 2 possible scenarios. One, obviously, I feel like the more obvious conclusion would be that, well, why would he say, like, who are you to his own daughter? Like, to someone who's his own daughter, right? That being said, there is technically the possibility that maybe he didn't recognize her after all these years. Maybe he hadn't seen, Beatrice. Like, let's assume that Beatrice is the murderer. If Beatrice is the murderer, and the Duke said, "Who are you? What do you want?" I don't think it's impossible that maybe the Duke hadn't seen her until that point, and they said before it had been like, what, 5 years? And he's a snobby noble. I wouldn't be surprised if he completely forgot what she even looked like, or like she changed enough in looks that he wouldn't recognize her. In which case, it would still make sense for him to say, "Who are you? What do you want?" So it's not... It's still...
I went on for a few seconds, then I heard the sound of someone getting stabbed.
Did you hear the voice of the assailant?
I didn't say anything, but I did hear them. Their voice was really raspy. I think they had a sore throat or something.
Raspy? Or they were trying to mask their voice. What Jan heard. Jan Hughes was trapped in the storage room near William Frega's study. He took a nap but was awoken to the sounds of some kind of physical struggle. He heard Frega shout, "Who are you? What do you want?" After a few more seconds, he heard the sound of someone being stabbed. I want to check something real quick. Yeah, the storage is right next to the study, so he would hear it easily. Okay, so he would easily hear it. Alright, the storage room. Why did you enter the storage room anyways?
The servants were complaining about rats running through the air vents, so they sent me to take care of it. I heard one of them running in the vent upstairs, and I followed it here. I figured I had nowhere else to go, so I opened it up and put a trap down. After I was done, I tried to leave, but the door was locked. So I took a nap.
The servants who'd been infrequently complaining about the sound of rats running through the vents. Jan tried to track one of them down and followed it to the storage room. Don't know how this is going to be relevant, but he only heard a few words before the murder struck the final blow. It was a small piece, but it was a piece nonetheless. Either way, it was time to move somewhere else. Nothing else to say, buddy? See you later, then. Let's go to Beatrice's room. I get the feeling I'm about to see... Come on, Tracker, where are you? Who is this? As I entered Beatrice's room, I was assailed by a large cloud of dust.
Something got in my eye. Oh,
Oh, hey. As my vision cleared up, I realized there was someone else in the room with us. Oh, Leifa. Sorry, I didn't mean to barge in.
no, there's nothing to apologize. Hello, fellow blonde.
I swear to God. I really didn't need to be reminded about that right now. Hi.
I'm really sorry for leaving so abruptly like that.
No, I understand. I was wandering around the room. I felt really awkward for some reason. It's probably for the best anyway. I had no idea what I was doing out there.
No, you're fine. My feet still hurt.
Bruh.
I'm sure with enough practice you'll get the hang of it. I love the dance you get. Most of the men who approach me during the ball seem to think too highly of themselves. I much prefer your company. Oh, that will have to wait. We're here on behalf of the Crown Prince to investigate what happened.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was...
Right. We were wondering if we could ask...
Right, we were wondering if we could ask you some questions. Her posture became tense, which was to be expected considering the circumstances.
Of course. I'd be happy to help.
Oh, psychological profile, you say? This highly extravagant bed looks similar to the one in Miriam's dorm at the Imperial Academy. In fact, this room I'm pretty sure is a complete replication. Oh well. It's a dresser covered in a layer of dust. Doesn't look like it's been touched in years. A table for guests, but like everything else, extremely dusty. More chandeliers!
Repario Arcanum.
I don't see any magic in here. As always,
It's a runestone.
it's an attorney's runestone. It proves I'm a certified attorney.
Yes, I'm quite familiar with them. They're truly a feat of artificery. Miriam has one for her studies. She's always so engrossed in it whenever she visits. She never talks to me.
What can you tell me about this lady, Frega?
My apologies. I don't think I'll be of much help with that.
Vitality? Sword. Security? What about blindness? I'm sure Beatrice's return must have been surprising for you.
It is. To be honest, I've been hoping for years that she'd finally return. But now she has. She's just gone Poland to nor one of our family's messes.
Raise it a little bit. Do you know where my sword is? It's the same.
That man. He was my father, but I can't say I have fond memories of him.
He must have been difficult to deal with.
You have no idea. He was cruel, tyrannical, and only ever cared about his own legacy. He was willing to sacrifice anything and anyone to maintain his power and status, including his own daughters.
Sounds like that his treatment of Beatrice was particularly harsh.
It was. He never saw her as a worthy successor to our family's legacy, simply because she was a woman.
Aren't...
Even after her accident, he used her disability as an excuse to strip her of any power she had left.
I can only imagine how difficult that must have been for all of you.
It's been a constant struggle. But we managed to survive. As bad as it sounds, now that he's gone, we might have a chance to rebuild our family.
Okay. Nothing about the weapon. Nothing about the system. Nothing about your own words. What about the maps? Nothing. Nothing about the method. Not Jan. What about rats? There are rats in your house. Divine Edict. Nope. Anti-magic?
I've heard of you. You're that defense attorney that everyone's talking about.
Wow, I didn't expect you to know who I was.
Yes, many nobles are uneasy due to your recent actions. It's very clear that no one is safe from you.
Oh. that sounds... Ugh. Ruby? No. Wallace? No. What about your own yeah, I was about to say, I already know exactly where this is headed. Well, Miriam. What's your relationship like with Miriam?
My youngest sister. I actually don't see her that much. Really? Even though you're sisters? Our lives as nobles keep us very busy. We rarely have the chance to speak with each other. And ever since Beatrice fled the estate, she's been throwing herself into her schoolwork.
Okay, a little more. Harold? What about the monkey? Nope. Arya? Nope. What about Aster? Nope. Yourself? No. Jan? Alright, what did you see? Steelman told us that you were the last person to see William Frege that night. Did you notice anything unusual about your father's behavior?
Well, he was extremely upset. I think Beatrice may have offended him during their meeting. The servant said that he demanded to be left alone. He retreated into his study immediately after Beatrice left. I tried to speak with him when the theft was reported, but he didn't much care about the missing artifact. He told me to leave him alone and let the Kingsguard investigate the sword. He's probably busy making the changes to his will.
Now, that was an interesting thought. When did you speak with him last?
It was before they activated the lockdown. It was a little after 1 a.m. that night.
After his meeting with Beatrice Frege, William Frege retreated into his study and locked himself within it. He refused to speak with almost everyone who tried to talk with him. Tried to disturb him. I don't know why I said duh. The only person who he spoke to was Leifa Frege. She told him about the theft of the sword a little after 1, but William didn't seem to care and returned to business. Through Leifa's thoughts, you know that he entered the study to make some sort of adjustment to his will. And do you have any idea what he was doing in his study?
What? No, I have no idea.
Leifa, is there something you're not telling us? It's important for us to know about your father's actions that night.
I'm sorry. I don't know anything else. My father didn't share much with anyone, even his own family. I wish I could be of more help, but I really don't know anything else. I refuse to believe that's why he was killed.
Why? She's clearly holding something back. If I could reveal what she was hiding through an argument, she might be more willing to cooperate, but I would need more information about William and his will first. Beatrice's room. This room is really dusty. Why hasn't anyone cleaned it?
I've forbidden the servants from cleaning this room. Beatrice is very dear to me, and I couldn't bear to have her room disturbed after she left. This room was the only memory I had of her.
Must have been holding on to the hope that her sister would return. Must have been 5 really long years. And what about the Sword of Spell Eating? Do you know how it ended up in this room?
I'm not sure. Perhaps they knew that the servants were ordered never to enter this room. It's even possible that someone planted it here to frame Beatrice.
That's more. What can you tell me about your father?
My father was a complicated man. He was a brilliant aristocrat and businessman, but he was a cold and distant father.
I see. Did he have any enemies?
As the head of House Frege, he controlled every banking house in Wyverngard. There were many people who resented his wealth and power.
Can you remember anyone's specifics? Perhaps someone that he slighted recently?
There was Lloyd von Sanctus.
The ruling Lord of Arnex?
Yes, I'm sure you remember him. His reputation plummeted after Dracogen's trial. My father took that as an opportunity to slowly take control of von Sanctus's industry. From what I've heard, he's been extremely bitter about that.
But things as since they are, I doubt that he'd get himself involved in another murder. I'm about to say, the guy's an idiot, but I don't think he's that dumb. Then again, I don't know. But I can never be too sure. No one spotted a cat walking around during the Lord's Ball, did they? I swear to God, if you say yes, I'm gonna lose my shit.
No, I'm certain there weren't any cats present.
Thank God. She was oddly confident about that. Either way, it sounded like I would have to speak with him and get more details. I really doubt that he'd even consider cooperating with me. That's enough. What can you tell me about Beatrice Frege? I heard that she fled the Frege estate 5 years ago.
Before she left, Beatrice was one of the most powerful mages I'd ever seen. She is incredible. At the age of 13, her talent for magic had even eclipsed my father's. But it was never enough for him.
What do you mean?
Before my mother died, he desperately wanted a son, but he only ever had daughters. But Beatrice was just as sharp as he was. She knew which threads to pull to get the results that she wanted, just like my father. Everyone thought that Beatrice would inevitably become the head of House Frege, but our family knew the truth. No matter how hard Beatrice tried, my father would never acknowledge her accomplishments. He was extremely cruel to her. He constantly belittled her achievements and dismissed anything she had said to him. And after the accident, he used her disability as an excuse to take away everything she had built for herself.
What is this accident? If it's not too painful for you, could you tell me more about Beatrice's accident?
Is this even relevant to the investigation?
Any small detail could make a difference. I need to learn everything I can.
I'm not sure about exactly what happened, but it was a magical experiment gone wrong. Beatrice was working on a project at the Imperial Academy. She was trying to create a new spell formula. We're still not sure what happened, but there was an adverse magical reaction. The resulting explosion seriously injured her and left her completely blind.
Can't imagine how she must have taken that.
Actually, she was probably the most unfazed by what happened. Even on that hospital bed, she was still thinking about how to move forward. She was always calculating like that. But that didn't matter. My father saw his opportunity. He told me that he was relieving her of her duties so that she could recover. But I knew the truth. He was going to take away her political power and social standing. He wanted to reduce her to a mere decoration for our home, just like he'd done to every other woman in our family.
And that must have been why she left. Did she contact you during the time she was missing?
No, no one had heard from her during that time. As much as I was worried for her, I was also a little happy. Unlike Miriam and I, she had finally broken free from my father.
What about the gallery? Can we go to the gallery now? Is it anywhere changed? Not there. Not there. Is there something I have to show her? The monkey! Nothing there. I don't see the, Wait, what?
Repario Arcanum.
The magical Oh. Hi.
There's traces of transmutation magic under the bed. I can't see it clearly. Let me take a closer look. It's Crimson Lotus!
What?
It's my sword!
Why is your sword in here?
What?
I never knew a sword had a name.
So this is where it's been.
Why was it in Beatrice's room? She reached out to take it, but I blocked her hand. This was the room where they found the sword of spell eating. It's likely that the two thefts are related.
But why? The only thing similar about them is that they're both swords.
I know, but this could still be part of the crime scene. We shouldn't disturb it.
But...
I'll talk to Steelwind. She can send some knights to guard it.
Okay, fine.
There's definitely more to this, but what? There we go. When Celeste went to the coat room to change, you later found the missing sword was found in Beatrice's bedroom. This was also the room where the sword of spell eating was found after it was stolen. Are these two elements related somehow? Why is a sword? Learn everything I could for now. It's time to move elsewhere. Sitting room? That's new. What about the gallery? I'm gonna keep going to the gallery. Alright, fine, the sitting room. It was in here. I explored the manor further and found one of the many sitting rooms. Oh gosh.
I've returned.
And there I spotted a very familiar face. He was sipping on a glass of wine, and his indifferent expression turned to a sneer the moment I entered the room. Hi there!
Oh, wonderful. As if my day couldn't get any worse.
Von Sanctus, what are you doing here?
The head of a noble house has just been murdered. I can't very well return to Aranax when my affairs are in such disarray.
Have been busy since last we met? Must be difficult losing your empire to House Frega.
Tyrion, we do need his testimony.
Is that so? And what makes you think that I'd ever help the likes of you?
I've got a very dangerous woman here who will hurt you. Because it would take suspicion off of you. And with your reputation, you could use all the help you could get.
How dare you! I'll have you know that I'm still a respected member of the nobility!
Respected? Is that why the papers keep talking about your plot to blow up Arnex? Because the way I see it, being involved in another scandal will destroy what's left of your reputation. But it makes no difference to me. To be perfectly honest, I'd like nothing more than to drag you on the stand and embarrass you a third time. All you could do is grumble under his breath.
Very well. If it means I won't have to suffer your presence any longer, I'll oblige and answer your questions.
It's a painting of some adventures in a tavern. Look at this RPG party. Ah, this must be...
This must be Beatrice Frega the First.
The first?
According to legend, she was one of the descendants of the 7 heroes of Wavengard. She joined a band of adventurers who were traveling across the nation.
It's difficult to imagine the Fregas coming with such humble beginnings. Whoa! Hey! No! Why it happen again? Hey! No! Nuh-uh! No! I saw that! Why it clicked? Why again? Where's Eris? She's around here somewhere. Ugh. The paranoia is settling in. Wait, what?
What is it now?
The muscular man in the corner, he just What do you mean he just vanished? Wait, I wasn't being... What? Huh? The muscular man in the corner, he just vanished.
What are you on about? There was never a man there.
What do you mean? I'm losing it. I'm losing my shit.
He's right.
No, I'm sure he was there.
Are you feeling okay?
Maybe I was just seeing things. I really need sleep. No! Wait, no, he's gone! What are you... No! What? The big man on the left, he's gone! I just don't know... What? What do you mean? I kind of feel that there should have been someone in the corner. Who is it? Ugh. Ah! It's a door that leads to the coat room. I don't like that. Shelf filled with books.
Fake books. They're completely blank.
It's a chair made from mahogany. Every part of this house just exudes wealth. Well, that's probably been siphoned out of the common folk. I don't like the fact that the big guy's just gone from the photo. What do you mean? Ah. Window. There's a window with a view of the outside. Magic in here?
Arcanum.
I don't see nothing. Alright, Von Sanctus, you already know.
Why do you always show this thing to me?
To let you know that there will always be people willing to stand up to you.
You know Von Sanctus Industries manufactures those runestones, don't you?
What?
The Kingdom distributes those to practicing attorneys. Where did you think they came from?
My world has just been shattered.
Dumb get you, Tyrion.
But my runestone!
Proves that you're a certified attorney. Doesn't matter where it comes from, it matters how you use it.
I guess you're right. My runestone! What do you think about this, Von Sanctus?
I doubt I can say anything meaningful. Ask someone else. I don't want to talk to you.
Haroldson Security?
Harold Haroldson? I couldn't care less about that quack's personal affairs. He can find financial aid somewhere else.
Surprised you got something to say about that. What about Beatrice? What can you tell me about the defendant in this case?
What? She's your client. Certainly you would know it better than I.
Humor me.
Well, I'm sure you're aware that she fled the Freyja estate 5 years ago. In doing so, she dealt a blow to House Freyja's reputation and directly insulted the Crown Prince by breaking her engagement to him. It was quite the scandal at the time. And Lucio wasted no time in punishing his daughter into taking Beatrice's place. Honestly, the situation is just an absolute mess. And that woman's return will complicate things.
Beatrice's return would complicate things. What would that mean? Ow, for...
William Freyja, even in death, he still remains a thorn in my side. At least now he won't meddle in my affairs.
At least you're honest. I'm still scared about the fact that the man... Eris, where are you? Anytime that I see a glitch effect, I'm half convinced that Eris is somewhere around here. Because it's definitely her causing it. I refuse to believe otherwise. Stop glitching my reality. Stop changing what people are saying. And for the love of God, put the man back in the photo. I don't even know what I just showed to this man. Did I show him the method of entry? I'm assuming I did. What do you think about rats?
Like you?
How about sword? I'm also kind of surprised he has nothing to say about familial bond. Divine Edict. Anti-magic?
Yeah, I really hoped I'd seen the last of you in Arnax.
And I really hope you're not involved in what happened to William Freyja.
Please, as if I'd even humor such a preposterous accusation.
Buddy Bowie, I can believe anything regarding you.
You and that woman. You two do nothing but weave chaos into the nobility.
With how you aristocrats abuse your power, I'll gladly create as much chaos as I need to. You ain't getting away with it.
I don't know this child.
No. Nothing there. You know, I really should have figured that showing that would have done that, but... Nothing with Harold Harrelson new.
Monkey. 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 As usual, the Steelwind brat is sticking your nose where it doesn't belong.
I take it you're not a fan of Hal Steelman?
Fan?
Hardly. Those brutes have no place in our civilized kingdom. Have you heard about what Lucio's been doing in the countryside?
And yet I can't help but feel like you'd never say that to her face.
Of course not, you crazy? I'm an asshole, not an idiot. Aster do Ivengard, the crown prince himself. It's Aster Day? Can't say I care much for his childish ideals of justice.
Those child's ideals are the only justice that matter. It's not something the likes of you would understand.
Leifa, I'm sure she'll use William's death as yet another excuse to further avoid her obligations. She just lost her father. What is wrong with you? William Frege may be dead, but his daughters must carry out their roles, lest their house reputation suffer.
Is that all you care about? The reputation of the noble houses? What about justice?
Justice. Justice is an illusion that you commoners fruitlessly cling to. The Frege family has always been influential, but with William's death, the power will be diminished. And with Leifa's reluctance to fulfill her duties, the Frege name will continue to suffer. You people are horrible.
I'm surprised that we're actually seeing you.
Honestly, it's just one mess after another with you.
Mess? Wouldn't you have a lot to gain from William Frege's death?
If only one viewed things superficially, you might be right. But it's far more complicated than that. House Frege controls the banking houses. They are the main pillar of support for Ivengard's economy. William's death could have unimaginable economic consequences regardless of who inherits this house. I wouldn't be foolish enough to do something like that.
It remains to be seen.
Think what you will. There are others out there who would benefit from William Frege's death.
I don't know, man. You're not a good person.
Honestly, it's just one of...
You mentioned that other people would benefit from Frege's death. Who specifically?
If I had to venture a guess, I would say Lucio Steelwind benefits the most.
You just said that the Duke's death could have unimaginable consequences for the economy.
Do you think that brute cares about Ivengard's economy? No, all that man cares about is power. Pure and physical power. House Steelwind and House Frege have been fighting for control of Ivengard for generations. And in this long-lasting era of peace, the Steelwind's military has become far less valuable to the crown. The only thing House Steelwind has done was completely mishandle these recent insurrections. If it weren't for Lady Steelwind's engagement to the Crown Prince, they might not even be considered a pillar family. The death of William Frege is probably exactly what Lucio Steelwind has been waiting for.
Definitely in line with what I'd heard about the Grand General. Wasn't if he was a stranger to murder either. This had been another one of his assassinations?
Not to mention, if our economy were to suffer, it would slowly create civil unrest. In a scenario like that, the Crown would have to rely on Steelwind's forces to maintain order.
Yeah, they would they?
And I'm sure you can imagine how that might turn out.
What about others? It's clear that you think Lucio Steelwind would have much to gain from this, but can you think of anyone else?
Well, there is Harold Haraldson.
Why did his name come up?
That can't be his real name.
But what would Mr. Haraldson possibly gain from Frege's death?
From what I've heard, William was planning to defund the Haraldson Hall of History.
Really? Why would he do that?
I'm not sure of the specifics. Supposedly, Lord Haraldson refused to omit the less flattering parts of Ivengard's history from his exhibits. It's gone blatant enough that he's drawn the eye of the king himself. They actually got into a very heated argument during the Lord's Ball about it. I heard that William declared that he would be removing House Haraldson from his estate.
I didn't want to suspect Mr. Haraldson, but I need to examine every possibility. He had the easiest access to the Sword of Spell-Eating, and he could have staged a robbery to cover his tracks. It's not impossible. Again. Beatrice's return. Do you find Beatrice's return to be inconvenient for you?
What are you on about now?
Please, don't insult my intelligence, Von Sanctus.
Fine. If you must know, my son was arranged to marry William's daughter, Leifa.
Leifa?
Since Beatrice showed no signs of returning, it was apparent that Leifa would inherit House Frege instead of her. I know when my days are numbered, so I took preemptive action. William wanted a male heir, and I need to preserve my house, so we both came to an accord. My son and Leifa were arranged to be wed. House Von Sanctus would have been absorbed, but at least my Jaden would stand at the helm.
Jaden?
You nobles are absolutely awful. I should consider myself lucky I was abandoned. Think what you will, I wouldn't expect a commoner to understand. That's the problem with your generation. You have no sense of duty or obligation. Leifa had already expressed resistance to this marriage, even though she was well aware of the details. Now I worry she'll hide behind her sister to end the engagement altogether.
Leifa knew how this marriage... So, okay, hang on. Leifa Frigga was due to be married to Jaden von Sanctus. This arranged marriage was facilitated by William Frigga and Lloyd von Sanctus. As part of this diplomatic marriage, House von Sanctus would be absorbed by House Frigga. In return, Jaden would inherit the entirety of House Frigga from William. Leifa knew how this marriage would affect the future of House Frigga. She expressed resistance to the diplomatic marriage and has been stalling for time. Lloyd von Sanctus worries that William Frigga's death could cancel the marriage altogether. Leifa never mentioned any of this. As much as I hate to think it, William's death could have gotten her out of the arranged marriage. I need to talk to her about this. Von Sanctus gave us a decent list of suspects. Probably learned everything I could from him for now. Best to move. Can we go to the gallery yet? Nope, still no. Beatrice's room. I was trying to remember where I was supposed to go. There we go. Here we go. Save game. Alright, Leifa. What was William doing? Leifa was hiding what her father was doing in his study. I doubt that she was doing this for any nefarious reasons. She might not even think that it's relevant to the case. But William Frigga had many enemies, and he retreated into his study to do something that night. And that something could be related to why he was murdered. Let's begin. Argument. Leifa Frigga doesn't know you very well, and she has no reason to trust you. She believes in Beatrice's innocence over everything else. She's usually sincere, so it's unlikely that she is actually involved in her father's murder. She might react well if you respond with a similar sincerity. Is there something you're not telling us, Leifa? Because I have a feeling that you know more about more than you're letting on.
What?
That was your what was your father doing in his study?
I already told you, I don't know. I have no idea what my father was doing. My father was a private man. He wouldn't share something like that with me.
I have no idea what my father was doing. He was making some sort of change to his will, wasn't he?
What? Did someone else tell him?
Why did you find the need to hide this from us?
I didn't.
The thoughts I saw earlier seem to disagree with that. We've only just met, so I understand if you don't trust us. The Inquisition thinks that Beatrice murdered your father, and they're claiming she did so for his inheritance.
That's absolutely absurd.
Regardless, your father's inheritance was probably the motive behind his murder.
Which means that a lot of people would have a lot to gain from his death, including you.
What was she doing?
Excuse me? I was not involved in this. How could you even think that I'd be capable of something like this?
Damn it, McCoy!
Doubt. I'm not so sure you were the last person to see your father alive. It's possible you've been lying to us. No. I didn't mean to imply that you were involved in this, but it's clear that the murder's motive was to take control of House Freyja. Threat. The prosecution clearly won't shy away from prosecuting members of your family. If your sister is truly innocent, where do you think they'll turn their attention next? Nope. We didn't mean to imply you were involved in this. It's clear that the murderer's motive was to take control of House Freyja. This means that their plan heavily relied on who William Freyja was leaving his assets to. So I need to know, Miss Freyja, how was your father planning to change his will?
I don't know. I was never aware of the details of my father's will. I've already told you, my father was a secretive man. He didn't share the details of his estate with me.
Nope. I was never aware of the details of my father's will. I think it's the engagement. It's the only thing that makes sense, right? Is that really true, though? You did know of something.
What?
I already know about your arranged marriage to Jane von Sanctus. I also know that as part of this deal, Jane would inherit House Frege instead of you. You definitely knew about this, and you heavily resisted the marriage in an attempt to stall it. Which means that you had some idea of how your father's will was arranged. So what aren't you telling me, Leifa?
I can't trust you. I can't trust you.
What?
You are here on behalf of the Crown Prince Aster, and you're a known dissident. You, the other Pillar families, and the Crown have so much to gain from my father's death. How can you assure me that this information won't be used against my family?
So that's why she's being so secretive. There's nothing I could possibly do to make you trust me, but please understand I'm only trying to find out who murdered your father. I may have been hired by Prince Aster, but I'm an independent agent. I have no stake in this conflict. I was only hired to arrive at the truth. I'm only trying to figure it out. There's nothing I could possibly say to make you trust me. Please understand, I'm only trying to figure out who murdered your father. To do that, I need to know what kind of changes he was making to his will. It's likely that whoever did this wanted to prevent those changes. Bingo.
I have no reason to trust you, but somehow I can tell that you're being sincere. Will you really protect Beatrice?
Reassuring her would be the best course of action, but something in the back of my mind stopped me. I'll get to the truth of what really happened, no matter what it is.
Okay. If that's truly what you're planning to do, I'll tell you what I know.
Because I don't know if she's innocent. I really don't. What was William doing?
I wasn't trying to be difficult, but I didn't know who I could trust.
Considering the circumstances, that's perfectly understandable.
I'm not sure why, but my father was extremely upset that night. According to him, Beatrice had returned, and in his words, she was even more impudent than before.
Did he tell you what their meeting was about?
He didn't, and I honestly didn't really care. I was just so happy that my sister had finally returned. My father clearly felt otherwise. Before he entered his study, he told me that he would be pruning the family tree. He said he was going to draft a will to disinherit my sister and several other members of our family.
On the night of the murder, Beatrice finally returned to her home. She arranged a meeting with her father. This meeting didn't end his plan, and Beatrice angered William Frege enough for him to declare that he would be disinheriting her that night. Has anyone found the draft of this will?
No. It was one of the first things I looked for after the investigation began.
The modified will was missing. I doubt that would be enforced. He never got a chance to submit it for probate before he died. But I couldn't discount the possibility that the murder destroyed it. Does anyone else know about this?
No one. I didn't even tell Lady Steelman about when she was questioning me.
Because it would have established a motive for Beatrice. Anyways, thank you, Leifa.
Tyrion.
Yeah?
My sister isn't a bad person. She would never do something like this.
I know, but she's in good hands. Ruby Tymor is the one defending her in the trial, after all.
Okay. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not.
I think I learned everything I could from Leifa. Only one last person to speak to, Mr. Haraldson. Alright, Harold Haraldson. Let's talk, buddy.
This is a complete mess.
Hey, Ludlow, how's it going? I'm doing good, hope you're doing good too. As we entered the gallery, we spotted Lord Haraldson. He was inspecting the shattered remnants of the display case.
Oh, Mr. Cuthbert. He's working for the Crown Prince. Can he be trusted?
Final Fantasy IV? That's nice. I'm trying to remember if... I know there was a Final Fantasy game on the SNES Classic. Was it 4 or 6? I can't remember. It was an old one.
Oh, Mr. Cuthbert.
It seemed that word had spread about my deal with Aster.
I'm glad you seem to be doing better.
Probably 6, gotcha. I just remember it was an old one.
Wait, what happened?
It's a long story. I'll tell you later. Not that I could explain exactly what had happened. Anyway, Mr. Harrelson, could we...
Harold.
Right, Harold. I'm sure you already know that I'm investigating the murder of William Freya. The prosecution suspects that someone used a sword of spell eating to break into the Duke's room. I was wondering if I could ask you some questions about the theft last night.
I'll tell you what I can, but I'm not sure how much help I'll be.
Alright, fair enough. First off, is there new examining...
Repario Arcanum.
I already examined this. Yeah. That's gone. Okay, all of it's good. I'm gonna start at the end.
It's truly a shame how that young woman's life turned out. William was always cold and calculating, but to treat his own daughter like that. I can't begin to imagine the hardship that she must have gone through. Not sure what to make of it.
Okay. What about sword? Nope. Testimony?
What about the rats?
Wait, I need to ask him about his monkey.
The monkey.
No. Fine, I'll talk to you. I'm pretty sure I showed you most of the stuff earlier, and I don't know if your dialogue changed. The artifacts.
Can't believe a museum owns a magic item like this. I would have expected the noble houses to take them for themselves.
The nobility of today doesn't have much use for items such as these. The power of a lord is based on politics rather than magical strength nowadays. And a noble wouldn't want to wield the sword of a demon even if the legends are just stories.
A demon?
Oh, right. The sword of spelling is said to have been forged from a pact between a demon and a mage.
Isn't making a deal with a demon just asking for trouble?
More than likely.
He'd definitely betray you the first chance they got.
Legends say that demons often drafted blood contracts for this reason.
Would that be similar to a legally binding contract?
The concept is similar, but once you sign a blood contract, both you and the demon are magically compelled to fulfill its terms. It's said that violating its terms will result in instant death for the offender, no matter who they are.
So I guess there's some protection.
Well, as an attorney, I'm sure you understand that it's possible to exploit and use loopholes in any contract. And according to legends, demons take great pride in their ability to deceive and corrupt people. Although I'm sure you know that already, Mr. Cuthbert.
Wait, what do you mean by that? Excuse you. The theft. According to the prosecution, the theft took place during the Lord's Ball. Shouldn't there have been plenty of witnesses in the gallery at that time?
That's the strangest thing. Supposedly the gallery room was completely empty when it happened.
How? What? That can't be right.
And honestly, I have no idea how anyone could produce enough magic to shatter the display case anyway.
Were the wards protecting the case that powerful?
They were powerful, but that's not the issue here. It would be one thing to dispel the wards and remove the glass with protecting it, but it's another thing to shatter the glass while the wards were active. Doing something like that would require an extremely powerful spell, far more powerful than simply dispelling it.
On the night of the murder, someone would use a powerful spell to completely shatter the magically protected glass that was containing it. It was later found in Beatrice Frega's old room, so how did the glass get shattered? It wasn't just strong already with whatever was... It was not just already strong glass, it was magically enhanced strong glass. And yet, someone used a spell that completely blasted it and shattered it everywhere.
But something about the readings on the lock console was strange. It's as if the protective magic had been completely nullified, but that shouldn't have been possible. The locks are designed to be immune to anti-magic fields. The only thing that could bypass it was the sword of spelling itself, and it only worked when being held by someone.
But if they had access to the sword array, they wouldn't have needed to break the display case. I think it's more likely that someone used an extremely powerful spell.
Probably. But the sword of spelling wasn't the only item that was stolen either.
Yeah, the intelligence bracelets. What? Was another artifact stolen?
These thefts are extremely concerning. I had these exhibits observed with the strongest spells gold could buy, but perhaps it wasn't enough. To think that one of my artifacts would be used for murder of all things.
You mentioned that another item was stolen.
Yes, it's extremely concerning. After the sword of spelling was reported missing, I checked the other exhibits. That's when I discovered that the armbands of intellect had been stolen as well. And unlike the sword of spell of eating, we haven't found the armbands.
I looked at the glass case where the armbands used to be. They've been removed. The glass case was completely intact. That's interesting. How is it that... So, technically speaking, it sounds like the display cases for both artifacts should have been the exact same. So why is it that one is completely shattered while the other is completely fine? Unless, I wonder. The armlets of intelligence, as could probably obviously be assumed from reading it, worn by a creature, that creature's intelligence would be increased beyond the limits of an average human. I would assume that increasing your intelligence would more than likely also increase the power of your spells. Is it possible that whoever did this first stole the armbands, put them on, increased their intellect, and was given the power to then use, and was then able to use their empowered spells to destroy the case of the sword? That's what I'm wondering. It could have been that they stole the armbands first to make themselves more intelligent, which would increase the power of their spells, and then they could just easily blast through the other display. The thief didn't shatter the glass.
Moreover, the armbands were actually replaced with a very well-made replica.
What? On the night of the murder, Harold Haraldson discovered that the armbands of intellect were also stolen. The glass case holding the armbands wasn't shattered, and the armbands were replaced with a very convincing replica. What was going on here? The two thefts were completely different from one another. That's weird. You mentioned that someone would have needed a powerful spell to shatter the display case. Wouldn't that narrow down the list of suspects for the theft? Not everyone attending the ball could cast powerful spells like that.
Well, according to the Inquisition, Beatrice Rega's magic was powerful enough to have done this.
Discounting the fact that she's completely blind.
Yes, I'm well aware of that, and it doesn't sit quite well with me either.
Was there anyone else at the Lord's Ball capable of matching Beatrice's power?
Only the heads of the 4 pillar houses could have invoked magic this powerful. But apparently, Beatrice is an exception to that.
Was Beatrice really that powerful? Or was she being framed by one of the house pillars?
The cases can be opened normally, can't they?
Ah, yes, the magical locks on the case can be disabled.
No thought, but he is nervous about that for some reason. I detected some fear. Was he hiding something? How are they normally disabled?
They can be turned off and on and off using a spoken password.
And how many people know this password?
Only myself. I personally oversee the transport of these items when they are moved.
The spells that guard the displays can be temporarily disabled with using a spoken password. Harold Haraldson is supposedly the only person who knows his password. So could someone else have figured it out? So Harold could have stolen the sword that night. Could he have staged a robbery to cover his tracks? Harold, a witness told us that you got into an argument with William Frigga on the night of the murder. Was William Frigga planning on defunding the Haraldson Hall of History?
Yes, he was. But that doesn't mean I had anything to do with this murder.
Did your argument that night turn hostile?
I'll admit that our discussion turned heated, but it never escalated to threats or violence. With how insulting he was, it should have. William was being unreasonable, and I was frustrated, but that's all there was to it. He deserved what happened to him.
Jesus. Did you have any conflicts with him prior to that night?
We have had disagreements in the past. He was receiving pressure from the Crown about what I was displaying in my museum. The king believed that some of my exhibits were too controversial for the public eye.
What do you mean?
I'm sure you've noticed the rising tensions between the common folk and the nobility as of late. I never been one to shy away from the bloodier parts of Wyverngod's history. The citizens must know about these parts of histories, otherwise we're liable to repeat them. We're already seeing that happen with the Grand General Steelwind and these insurrections in the countryside. Nothing but brutish simpletons, a lot of them.
It's clear that Harold was passionate about his work. Would that passion have driven him far enough to commit murder, though? So many people had a motive to murder William Frigga, but who actually did it? I took some time to review everything that I'd learned. Moves aside, let's go over the events that happened that night. It all started when the sword spelling was stolen. What do we know about the thief of the sword? We don't have a specific suspect, but we do know something about them. They have to have powerful magic.
It'd be one thing to dispel the wards and remove the glass protecting it. But it's another thing to shatter the glass while the wards were active. Doing something like that would require an extremely powerful spell, far more powerful than simply dispelling it.
The thief has powerful magic. Magic strong enough to bypass the abjurate of wards entirely.
But what about Harold? He could have just unlocked it using his password.
He could have stolen the sword and staged a robbery, but he couldn't have shattered the glass. Only a powerful mage could have done that, and I doubt Harold would lie about that when we could easily confirm it with Steelwind.
Right, but then what happened next?
They brazenly stole the sword of spell eating. This called Harold to report the theft to the Kingsguard.
After Lord Haraldson reported what happened, the Inquisition discreetly placed the manor on lockdown. They searched every room in the manor to try and find it. But it was eventually found in Beatrice's bedroom.
And that led them to believe that she had stolen it.
That's correct. The Kingsguard moved to arrest her, but Prince Aster ordered them to step down.
Then there's Leifa's statement.
My father was extremely upset. I think Beatrice may have offended him during their meeting. The servant said that he demanded to be left alone. He retreated into his study immediately after Beatrice left. I tried to speak with him after the theft was reported, but he didn't much care about the missing artifact. He told me to leave him alone and let the Kingsguard investigate the sword.
When did you speak with him last?
It was before they activate the lockdown. It was a little after 1 a.m. that night.
What does this tell us about William Frega's death? Leifa's account gives us a clear fact about when William died.
What if...
Wait, say that again? Unlike the Grave case, the time of death was after this encounter.
What if...
William died...
What if...
William died before the body was found. Yeah. What does this tell us about William Frega's death?
Maybe...
William died... the moment... Need help? Give me a few more... Give me like 1 or 2 more minutes and then I can just... Might just pull up a... If you want to say, like, what maybe... You can say what, the first 2 parts are, if you want. I think it's... I feel like if I at least know what the first 2 parts are, then... But I meant is... William died is correct, if you remember correctly. Gotcha. I figured it had to be that. Oh, there we go. William Frigga was murdered after the lockdown was activated. That should have been obvious. Why did I have so much trouble with that?
This means that whoever killed him bypassed the lockdown and broke into the magically locked room. They had to have used the sword, right?
Yeah, most magical locks are immune to anti-magic field. Otherwise, the lockdown would have just disabled the locks. The sword of spelling must function differently if it produced that effect.
That's still not concrete evidence, though. And we haven't even spoken to all the suspects yet.
Right. I never got a chance to speak with Lucio Steelwind. But given his status, I wonder if that would even be possible. Either way, it's a good start, and it's not as if we're defending this case. The trial's getting close anyway. I didn't doubt Miss Timora's abilities, but I could still compare notes with her before the trial began. It was a little strange I hadn't seen her since the investigation started. Maybe she was meeting with Beatrice at the dungeons. Let's go to the dungeons! I arrived at the dungeon to search for Miss Timora. She wasn't at Friggin' Manor, so she must have been here to discuss the case with Beatrice. Or at least that's what I thought. I didn't see her here anywhere here too.
Go away, demon!
Not you! Not you! You took the man out of the picture!
Back, demon.
I didn't expect to see you here.
Celeste let us shriek as Eris approached two of us from behind. Yeah, I'm terrified of her too. She really had a habit of doing that. I was starting to wonder if she was doing it on purpose. Eris, what are you doing here?
Beatrice is actually acquainted with my father. He sent me here to help her through this ordeal.
That brought up so many questions, but I didn't really have time to pull on that thread. There was less than an hour before the trial began. I need to find Miss Timora. Have you seen Miss Timora anywhere? I need to talk to her.
She was just here, but she left to retrieve some documents from her office.
What do you mean? It's a totally normal 16-year-old. Every time I've talked to her, she causes glitching effects. Do you have any idea when she'll be back?
She didn't say, but I can pass a message on to her.
I'm sorry, it's related to Beatrice's case.
In that case, why don't you leave a message with Beatrice herself? She is the defendant in this case.
I felt a little hesitant, but it was Beatrice's life on the line. If anyone should know about what I'd found, it's her. Okay, let's go find her. Followed Eris's lead as she led us to Beatrice's cell. Once we found her, she left the dungeons to give us some privacy. I spent some time going through my findings with Beatrice, from the list of suspects to the possible motives behind the murder. I noticed that with each revelation, she became more uneasy. The idea of someone framing her must have been stressing her out.
I see. You've certainly been thorough.
Yes, but I still have no concrete evidence that points to anyone.
If he reveals these findings to Prince Aster, he might suspect something.
What does that mean? And why anger and fear? What?
Sorry, I was just thinking.
And I was able to catch one of those thoughts. Beatrice, I'm sure you're aware that Prince Aster has your best interests at heart.
I know. Even though we haven't spoken for the last 5 years, I still consider him a close friend.
I suppose you have no issue with me sharing these findings with him?
Of course not. This is bad. Even he wouldn't support us if he knew that I was involved.
What? What? She was actually involved in this!
Is something wrong, Mr. Cuthbert?
Beatrice was actually behind this. But how? She's completely blind. She couldn't have navigated through the manor and avoided the guards. And Arya did say that she was intelligent, but doing all this while blind was ludicrous. No, I must have taken her thoughts out of context.
Mr. Cuthbert, perhaps you should get some rest.
I thought very carefully about what to say next. There was one way to get a certain answer through the eye, but if I was wrong... Beatrice, you weren't actually involved in this, were you? Tyrion? Her gaze narrowed in response to my question. Once again, she clapped her hands together.
Do you suspect me now, Mr. Cuthbert?
You didn't answer my question, Beatrice.
As if I even need to justify it with a response. But no, Mr. Cuthbert. I was not responsible for my father's murder. I might as well have been. Legally, I was more of an accomplice.
Well then... An accomplice. Someone else was involved in this. And I see.
Cuthbert?
That's what's going on. You're an accomplice to this, huh? Miss Timora. Remember, she seemed to have sensed the mood in the air. She raised her eyebrow at me. Miss Timora, can I speak with you alone for a second?
Okay. What's wrong? Is everything okay?
Miss Timora, Beatrice, she actually did murder William Frege. Miss Timora's lips pursed. Her eyes darted around the room to make sure the guards didn't overhear us.
What are you talking about? How could you possibly know that?
I saw it with the eye of Horus. She conspired with someone else to orchestrate William Frege's death.
Have you told anyone else about this?
No, it's not as if they believe me anyway. You're the only other person who knows about my abilities.
Okay. We'll talk about this later. I need to get ready. The trial starts in half an hour.
What? You're not seriously going to defend her, are you?
Of course I am. I'm her attorney.
But she's guilty! I saw it!
Look, at this point, I don't know what you saw. Do you think I can just abandon a client minutes before the trial?
No, but...
It's not for either of us to decide who's guilty and who's not. Everyone has a right to an attorney. More importantly, you had no right to use the Eye of Horus on my client. I don't have time to argue about this. We will be talking about this later.
Before I had a chance to respond, Miss Timora walked away. Celeste had given us some privacy, but she definitely interfered the tone from our conversation.
Is everything okay?
Celeste, I think Beatrice was actually behind this.
What?
I couldn't blame her for not believing me. It's not as if I could tell her about the Eye of Horus. Although, why hadn't I told her?
Alright, so what do you want to do now?
What?
You wouldn't say something like that if you weren't sure, right?
I thought long and hard for a moment. Maybe we don't need to do anything.
What?
Steelin is handling the prosecution, and she's far from being a pushover. If Beatrice is truly guilty, I'll just have to trust her to get the job done. Either way, I don't think we're in any position to get involved.
Alright, if you say so.
This really was none of our business. I had no stake in this. I wasn't obligated to do anything. I'd done everything I could. I would just have to leave it in Steelin's hands. It was none of my business. William Frege was a tyrant anyway. He was a noble who did nothing but steal wealth from the common folk. The world was better off without him, and it's not as if any of this was my responsibility. Miss Timora must have been doing this for a reason. All I had to do was wait for the trial to run its course so we could put this all behind us.
Objection!
No. I want the truth. Your Honor, I'm afraid you can't pass a verdict just yet.
Mr. Cuthbert.
Cuthbert! What the hell are you doing?
I don't know. But what I do know is that there's a massive contradiction in Miriam Frege's testimony. Who was I kidding? As if I'd ever stand by and do nothing. Oh boy. Your Honor, the prosecution. I would like the right to cross-examine this witness.
Bailiff, arrest Mr. Cuthbert. I'm holding him in contempt.
Oh, wait! I really didn't think this through, did I? Instead of following his order, the bailiff walked over to the judge's podium and whispered something into his ear.
What? I see. Very well, then.
What were they saying?
It appears that Miss Steelin has somehow predicted that this would happen. In accordance with her wishes, Mr. Cuthbert may act as the prosecutor in her stead.
Oh, thank you! Arya!
What?
The paperwork was submitted shortly before the trial. Mr. Cuthbert is designated as her stand-in.
Heck yeah!
It's unorthodox, but it's not without precedent.
I remember when Steelin asked me something strange earlier. What would you do if you discovered that one of your clients was guilty? And what would you do if they were guilty?
I suppose I'd withdraw and tell them to find another lawyer.
And no one else would represent them?
I don't know. It would definitely be a difficult choice for me. But I would never be able to represent them if I knew the truth. I don't think I could stand by and let a murderer escape justice. Steelin, did she somehow know this would happen?
Well, this isn't how I expect the trial to go.
We're on this side now, Celeste. Isn't it weird? Shortly after I barged into the prosecutor's table, Celeste awkwardly followed behind me. Curiously, she only did so after the bailiff didn't arrest me. Thanks, Celeste.
I guess we're really doing this.
What's wrong?
This feels weird. We're on the other side of the courtroom.
I was about to say, can we swap? I mean, this is where the prosecutor is supposed to stand. Can we swap?
No, I don't like this. Ruby, can we switch to...
Can we swap?
What? Your Honor, please ignore her.
No, this is way too weird.
I agree with her. This doesn't feel right.
Tyrion, file a motion. Garrett, switch us.
Celeste. For the love of... I generally don't care. Cuthbert can have the scythe he wants it
So badly. Yay!
With that out of the way, let's presume proceeding.
Yippee!
assuming that we're all in our preferred spots.
We are, Your Honor. Yippee! It doesn't feel right to be on the other side. As much as I hate to admit, I was more comfortable here. Not that I want to encourage her to do this again.
With all these interruptions, I think it's best to review the proceedings up until now. The prosecution proposed that Beatrice Frega's motive for the murder was to claim the victim's inheritance. However, the defense brought forth a witness who testified that Beatrice was disinherited by her father 5 years ago. Am I correct, Miss Timora?
You are, Your Honor.
Very well. Considering the circumstances, I think it's best to have Lady Frega repeat her testimony. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frega to the stand once more.
Here we go again. Miss Frega, could you please give your testimony to the court once more?
Of course.
Witness testimony.
After my sister's accident, my father said that she was unfit to inherit our noble house.
Let me check something real quick. 4-4. Okay. Because I don't. We're gonna go on for a little bit longer. But I don't think I'm gonna be beating the case today. But I do want to go just a little bit longer.
He declared to our family that he would be removing her from his will. It was 5 years ago, but I remember it well. One day, we all woke up and discovered that Beatrice had fled from our home. She left us a note for us, and in it, she renounced her name and denounced my father.
So your father disinherited Beatrice shortly after her departure?
Yes, he did. As such, Beatrice would have no motive to murder her father. Any inheritance she could have received would be long gone by the night of the murder.
Was that really true, though? Here we go. Oh, and she's green! After his sister's accident, and my father said that she was unfit to inherit the assets. That seems awfully cruel of him. It was just an accident, wasn't it?
My father was always thinking about the broader picture. He just wanted an excuse to punish her. He must have thought this was for my sister's own good.
She probably didn't want to speak ill of her father in the courts, but it seemed that she understood the type of person he was. Yeah, he sucked. He declared to our family that he would be removing her from his will. So he was making a show of it and sending a message to the rest of your family. I feel a little guilty for doing this to her, but I would need to establish Beatrice's motive wherever I could.
Objection!
What?
Your Honor, I find Cuthbert's comments to be extremely insensitive to the witness. I see no reason for him to speak ill of the deceased.
I'm compelled to agree.
She's using the judge's fear of House Frege against me. It was 5 years ago, but I remember it well. He must have been less than 13 years old at the time. I can't imagine how that must have been. But can we really trust your testimony if you were only a child at the time?
I remember it vividly. My father's words. The look of absolute fury on my sister's face. I even remember the way the sun was shining through the windows that morning. It was all my fault. I remember everything.
It sounded like a painful memory for her, and she seemed to blame herself for what happened. It'd be best not to press her more than necessary. Well, I'm doing it anyways. One day we all woke up and discovered that Beatrice had fled from our house. That must have been a surprise for all of you. Did she tell anyone else about her plan?
No, she didn't. She left without a word to anyone. She should have spoken with us first.
She seemed to be more sincere about that. She left a note for us, and in it she renounced her name and denounced my father. From what I've heard about your father, I don't find that surprising.
It's clear to everyone involved that my client was not treated well by her father. That's what drove her to leave the Frege estate. My father had many responsibilities. He had much to consider. And that justified his treatment of your sister.
Despite being her witness, Miss Timora really wasn't holding back against Miriam. I felt when I was watching from the gallery, a part of her testimony didn't match with what I learned from my investigation. It must have been something that Leifa told me. From what Leifa said.
Objection!
Not that one. Was it the other one? Evidence proves it. Oh wait, is it this one?
Objection!
This evidence proves it. Oh. Objection! This one. I was looking at the wrong thing. Miss Frigga, it's clear that you're regretful about how your eldest sister was treated. The guilt must have eaten at you after all these years.
Miss Cuthbert, I know you don't have a good history with the witness, but you shouldn't rub salt in her wounds.
I was just pointing out the witness's personal connection to the defendant, Miss Timora. She clearly regrets not standing up for her sister all those years ago. So perhaps she's trying to make up for that by lying to protect her.
Excuse me, I did nothing of the sort.
Miss Frigga, you testified that your father disinherited Beatrice 5 years ago. However, I have testimony from another witness who spoke with the victim on the night of the murder. After Beatrice's meeting with William Freyja, he openly declared that he would be removing her from his will. He even entered a study to draft a new will to reflect that decision. So that raises the following question. Why would the victim need to declare that he was disinheriting the defendant? It doesn't make sense if he had already disinherited her 5 years ago.
Is that so? Well, who did you hear this from? It's clear they had no understanding of my father's estate.
They had no understanding. Miriam, this testimony came directly from your sister, Leifa Freyja. Miriam grimaced. She probably didn't like to talk to Leifa about this beforehand. And she should have also been present during this alleged meeting 5 years ago.
Well, she must have be mistaken then.
Objection!
Ah,
Your Honor, how can we trust secondhand testimony from a witness who isn't here? Wouldn't it make more sense to have Leifa give her testimony directly?
I must agree with you, Miss Timora. Leifa Freyja should be allowed to clear up this misunderstanding.
she looked way too confident. What was she planning? I'm not sure if it was intentional, but Miriam's testimony was clearly contradictory. Could she be lying to protect Beatrice? Miss Timora might be betting that Leifa would do the same.
Bailiff, please escort Leifa Freyja to the stand.
Leifa, when we spoke earlier, you mentioned that your father decided to disinherit Beatrice. And he decided this after their meeting on the night of the murder. Is that correct?
Yes, I did say that. You see, Leifa, Cuthbert doubts the testimony given by your younger sister. He seems to think that she's committed perjury.
What?
I won't go so far as to say...
Witness, lying under oath is a serious crime. It would have harsh consequences, even for someone of your status.
No, she couldn't have.
Wonderful. Are you saying that you can corroborate your sister's testimony?
Miss Timora, you can't just intimidate the witness.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Cuthbert. I'm just informing the witness of the law. What she does is ultimately her choice.
She really was as ruthless as people have said she was. I just never expected to have to deal with this myself.
So, Leifa, assuming Miriam wasn't lying under oath, could you please testify to the court to confirm what your sister said?
Yes, of course.
It's weird going up against someone who... like this.
You see, Miriam was quite young when my father called us into a study 5 years ago. She didn't understand what he was really doing. My father would often lie to us. It was one of the many ways he kept us in line. The encounter that Miriam described was just another one of his lies. Despite their disagreements, my father would have never disinherited Beatrice without a good reason. Even when she left, he always assumed that she would eventually return home. The truth is that none of us knew what my father was planning for House Freyja's future.
See, Cuthbert, the truth is much more complicated. No one could have really known what William Freyja was planning for his estate.
Leifa was definitely trying to cover for Miriam, and Miss Timora was playing her like a fiddle. Luckily for me, she wasn't the only person who gave a statement to me. You see, Miriam was quite young when my father called us into his study 5 years ago. She didn't understand what he was really doing. So you're saying that Miriam's testimony was based on a misunderstanding?
Yes, my father was never direct with his actions. He's always known on just what to say to keep people under control.
My father would often lie to us. It was one of the many ways he kept us in line.
I'm aware how it sounds, but he had much to consider outside of his family. The Freyjas are one of the pillars of Wyverngard, after all. Keeping the family aligned with our house's goals was one of his responsibilities. But we were his daughters. How could he be so cruel?
It's clear that she didn't agree with what she's saying. She must also be trying to keep her family's name clean. The encounter that Miriam described was just another one of his lies. So you really think that your father would lie about something so important?
It was of great importance. That's why he had to lie. He wanted to make us understand the consequences of disobeying him. What kind of father does that?
But he truly wanted to scare all of you. Why wouldn't he disinherit Beatrice? Despite their disagreements, my father would never disinherit Beatrice without a good reason. Even when she left, he always assumed that she would eventually return home. Wait, what?
My father was always more pragmatic than vengeful. I imagine that he expected her to fail on her own, and if she ever came back, she would be forced to admit that she needed him. If he could make someone like Beatrice feel powerless, the rest of us would no doubt have fallen in line. Looking back, I suppose that's all we ever were to him. Assets to be appraised and traded.
Heard a bit of resentment in her voice. The truth is that none of us knew what my father was planning for House Frega's future. Oh, I see. If that were true, why would he tell you that he was disinheriting Beatrice?
Perhaps it was a warning. I had my own share of disagreements with him, after all. I'm still not sure if he was telling me the truth last night, either.
That would depend on what Miss Timora and Beatrice discussed with the Duke. Right now, I still had no idea what they even talked about.
Did William Frege really lie to them?
From what we know, I also wouldn't put it past him. He's clearly had very little respect for his daughters.
But there were other people that he did respect.
Right. Was there anyone else he would have told the truth to? We do have something I feel like that might work. The truth is, none of us knew what my father was planning for House Frega's future. I wouldn't be so sure on that, because what about your engagement?
Objection!
Miss Frege, did you really have no idea about House Frega's future?
No, I didn't. My father made sure of that. As I told you, he kept many secrets and wasn't above lying to us.
But with Beatrice gone, you would have been the one to inherit your father's estate. Would you really be ignorant of your father's plans for House Frege? Unfortunately for you, I don't think you'd be that careless. In fact, I have it on good authority that you knew exactly how William's inheritance would be divided before that night.
What?
Leifa, according to Lloyd von Sanctus, you were arranged into a diplomatic marriage with his son. You expressed resistance to this arrangement, am I correct?
I have no reason to comment on that matter. Cuthbert, the witness's personal matters are hardly any of our business.
Yes, I must ask that you keep the discussion relevant to the case.
Your Honor, Leifa's resistance to this marriage is exactly how I know that her testimony is false. She would make sure to know every detail about how it would affect her and her house. And that includes how House Frege would be inherited by her future husband. So that raises the question, Leifa. If you already knew the intricate details of this marriage, why would your father tell you that he was disinheriting your sister? That statement would only make sense if Beatrice was already in his will beforehand. That would render Miriam's testimony false and constitute a motive for the defendant.
Objection!
Had a feeling.
It's a decent argument, Cuthbert, but it relies on one assumption.
And what assumption would that be, Miss Timora? Even if he was lying, the victim declared that he was revoking Beatrice's inheritance. She must have already been named in the will previously, otherwise there would be no need for him to say that. It wouldn't make sense otherwise.
And that's where your assumption is. You're assuming that William Frege was acting logically.
What are you talking about? Oh boy.
It's clear that William Frege was extremely controlling of his daughters. By her own admission, Frege was resistant to the marriage arranged by her father. In addition to that, Miriam Frege found herself wrapped in controversy regarding the Nightgrave trial a few months ago. And finally, Beatrice Frege, the prodigal child, finally returned and made a public spectacle of it during the Lord's Ball. What are you trying to insinuate? In his eyes, William Frege's ability to keep his daughters in line was clearly weakening. He must have gone desperate and made a grand declaration in a feeble attempt to scare you, Leifa. Even if that declaration was clearly inconsistent. But you wouldn't. Your ability to remember must be muddled by the shock of your father's death. Your statement couldn't have possibly been true. If by some chance it were true, that would make you guilty of perjury. Or perhaps it was Miriam that was lying in her testimony. If your father's statement were true, the court might be inclined to investigate her for lying on the stand.
Miss Timora, are you threatening her?
As I said before, I'm merely stating the law. I'm just asking her to consider the potential consequences of what she says next. What do I do?
Damn it, she was really pressuring Leifa to side with her. She was clearly conflicted though. Wasn't there anything I could do? I could feel a sense of clarity when I looked at her. Was the Eye of Horus reacting to her stress?
I'm sorry. I need time to think. Please don't stare at me like that, Mr. Cuthbert.
Yeah, don't stare like that.
Tyrion, focus.
Wait a minute.
Your Honor, I would like to...
It was too late. Activate. I activate the empowered eye once again. There had to be something in her mind that I could use. The state of her father's inheritance was the backbone of my case. Was there anything in her mind that could definitively prove what was on his will? You're not stopping me, Tymora.
What do I think about this? I need to make sure that I tell the truth without harming Miriam or Beatrice. Beatrice couldn't have possibly done this, and I'm sure Miriam also has her reasons. They couldn't rely on me back then, but they can now.
Rats? Think about the rats.
How did both the swords find their way into Beatrice's room? Could Tracker have... No, Miss McCoy's sword is one thing, but he couldn't have possibly broken into the Heraldston Gallery.
Tracker?
Although he was extremely fixated on it.
Did she know how Slee's sword was taken? As much as I wanted to follow that, I would be all for nothing if the trial ended now. Was Tracker the dog? I wonder.
As much as I hate to admit it, this trial is the perfect opportunity to back out of my marriage to Jaden. Thunsink's holdings are weakening by the day. I doubt he'll be able to put up much resistance. And once Beatrice inherits the estate, we might be able to rebuild our family.
She was assuming that Beatrice would inherit House Freyja. That confidence must have meant that she was certain of what was in William's will. How could I prove that? William Freyja's inheritance.
Much I hate to admit it.
Oh.
How did both the swords...
Oh. Not the armbands. Not the security. Not what Jan said. Not what not the method. Not the map. Not the other map. Not the lockdown.
I know we had our differences, but I did love you. I never wanted you to die.
She seemed generally surprised and regretful. From our encounter earlier, I knew that Beatrice had an accomplice, but I doubted that it was Leifa.
After all these years, she's finally returned. I can't believe that this is how things have ended up. If only I was strong as her, I'd be able to endure this.
Not the earrings. Not that spell. Not Divine Edict. Not that. I think we gotta go to people now. Alright. What about Aster? Nope. What about Arya? What about the monkey? What about you? No. I have to go through everything now. Not Herald. This is the same as before.
Why would Miriam say those things? Am I misremembering what happened? No, I would have remembered something like that. She must be trying to protect Beatrice.
So Miriam's testimony was a conscious lie. Beatrice's inheritance wasn't revoked until the night of the murder. We're getting somewhere.
Hurry, Tymora. I've heard stories about her. I never expect Beatrice to hire someone like her. I wonder if she'll be at the will reading tomorrow.
A will reading? Was it for William Freyja's will?
I believe you had enough time for deliberation, Mr. Cuthbert. Are you able to prove the defendant's motive or not?
I'm not, Your Honor. At least not yet. It's clear we won't get anywhere until we can confirm the state of William Freyja's will. And we can easily confirm that tomorrow morning, when William Freyja's will is read to his family.
How did you...
I see. Once his will is read, it will become public record. I see no harm in waiting until tomorrow morning. I have no choice but to suspend the trial until William Freyja's will can be read.
Objection!
This is ludicrous. The case against my client is completely outrageous. We spent the entire court proceedings arguing if her motive even exists. The prosecution has very little evidence that physically implicates my client.
Miss Tymora, you clearly don't believe that the defendant had anything to do with the murder.
Of course I don't. She's completely innocent.
Well, if your client didn't murder the victim, who did? Where is this suspect?
You little...
Your Honor, with no other suspects, are you in a position to pass a verdict?
No, I am not.
I feel guilty for using this trick against Miss Timora, but I knew Beatrice was guilty. She always taught me to use any ploy I could use to win.
Mr. Cuthbert is correct. The court does not have enough information to pass a verdict. Until the Inquisition has time to investigate these new developments, I will be suspending today's trial. We will resume the trial tomorrow afternoon. Court is adjourned.
I was fully expecting another objection.
Well, that happened.
Timora's gonna kill me at this rate.
Sorry, I kind of acted without thinking.
The weirdest part is that stealing someone knew you would do that.
Right, that is strange. Did she seriously predict what I do off of that one conversation? Considering how things turned out, she was round the mark. But that was still a gigantic gamble on her part. Anyways, we have some time to ourselves. I'd really like to catch up on some sleep.
Yeah, today's been exhausting for a lot of reasons.
And my work had only started. I still had no idea who Beatrice's accomplice was. The will reading was just an opportunity to buy some time. So the question remained, who really murdered William Frege?
What the hell is that? Why is your son filing in for Arya? You told me he was harmless. Listen, I have the situation under control. If that's true, I'd hate to see a situation you consider out of control. Eris, my father's not pleased with today's developments. You promised that the verdict would be passed down before William Frege's will became public record. This has thrown quite a wrench into that plan.
I understand. Cuthbert's just confused, but he's not a threat to us.
We better hope you're right, Timora. Or else your poor ward might suffer the same fate as Prosecutor Steelwyn.
What?
Perhaps Frege is too important a prize for us to let go. Bring us results, Timora, or else we might continue to take more drastic measures.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I think I'm going to go ahead and end it there for today. I think here's a good enough stopping point. So, yeah, I know we just saved the game, but I'm going to save the game again. Alright. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you all later. Peace.